What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3rd Avenue, 051, Free the Slaves, Find Rayleigh, Met Luffy. It was as if Nami had grasped at straws, hastily stepped forward and grabbed him, his face full of the afterlife. She really thought she was going to be defiled, did not expect at this critical moment. Luffy has arrived on the scene, it's okay. Luffy looked at Nami concerned and asked. Fine. With Luffy around, Nami felt relieved, her head shook like a rattle. Who are you? How dare you hurt our captain? When the crew members of the One-Eyed Pirate saw their captain with a broken arm, they all yelled at Luffy angrily. I haven't questioned you Xingshi yet, but you came to me first? Luffy smiled instead of angry. Let's go together and kill him. The crew rushed forward. Everyone wields a sword. He slashed towards Luffy. Luffy's eyes were cold, looking at these people in front of him, it was like looking at some cold corpses. He turned into a ghost. The speed is galloping. In an instant, it passed through the bodies of more than 10 people in front of it. How could these little guys be Luffy's opponents? Next second, all the enemies fell to the ground one by one. Extinct on the spot. What? The One-Eyed Pirate, enduring the pain of a broken arm, saw Luffy kill all his crew members in just a second. He was horrified by Luffy's methods. Look at that face on Luffy. The One-Eyed Captain suddenly remembered. He's destroying Eni's lobby, capturing Golden Lion, and forcing Marine to take out Luffy, the Straw Hat with 7 billion Baileys. At this time, the One-Eyed Pirate showed panic, he never thought of it. I was able to meet Luffy who was offered a reward of 1.2 billion here. 1.2 billion. That belongs to the existence of the vice-level existence of the 4 Emperor's pirates. Such a pirate, let alone encountered it, it would be nice to be able to see one side from afar. Nowadays, Luffy was standing right in front of him. Obviously looks like ordinary people, but it gives people a feeling of oppressive scalp numbness. Don't kill me, don't kill me. The One-Eyed Pirate knelt down and begged for mercy enduring the physical trauma. Boom. Pity. Luffy shows no mercy, if you happen to be here. Nami is in danger. Raise your leg and kick out with open black lens bracket Tempest kick close black lens bracket. Sharp cutting power. Cut the One-Eyed Pirate in front of you in two. The pirate group was wiped out by Luffy on the spot. The abducted residents around were so shocked that their jaws dropped to the ground. They didn't recognize Luffy, but they also know that it was Luffy who saved them. Immediately, one by one kneeling on the ground, thanks to Luffy. Then the residents fled and left this ominous place. Let's go, the situation is special now, we have to find other crew members. Luffy exhorted to Nami. Wait a minute, Nami said. Talking. I saw Nami coming to the side of the money that the robbers had just paid. Nami pocketed all these properties. In addition to his own money, Nami also took away other money seized by these pirates. See this scene. Luffy said, don't we already have 7 billion Baileys? Why are we still scribbling these small profits? Mosquitoes are still meat no matter how small they are, and according to your current food, if you can only get out but not in, 7 billion Baileys are not enough to spend. In addition to saving a little, these windfalls must not be left behind. You can pick up a little bit. Nami said plausibly. Luffy listened, it also makes sense. After finding Nami, Luffy also found Usopp, Chopper, Frankie and others. And brought them all back to the ship. Such a big thing happened on the island, we have to get out of here immediately. Usopp didn't expect that what happened on the island was actually caused by Luffy and Zoro. After all, he also knows the power of celestial dragons. We must get out of this Sabaody archipelago now. No, the outside is already surrounded by Marine's warships. I'm afraid Admiral from Marineford is on his way. Frankie also inquired about a lot of news along the way. Then what should we do? Can we just sit and wait? Nami asked worriedly. Everyone speaks to me, talk on and on. At last, all eyes were on Luffy, waiting for Luffy's decision. We're not going anywhere, everyone stays on Thousand Sunny first, I have to go out and do something. Luffy said thoughtfully. What are you going to do? Robin asked. Find someone. Luffy turned his head and said to the crowd. The largest auction house in the Sabaody archipelago. Luffy came to the interior of the auction house, because of the huge changes outside. Even this huge auction house is empty at the moment. I have to ask why Luffy came to this auction house. Without him. Find Rayleigh, Shaki said it before. Now Rayleigh is nothing more than 2 places. A coating factory, an auction house. Luffy chose the auction house. He walked through the long corridor and walked into the backstage of the auction house. Look around. It's a huge cage. Almost all the people in the cage came from different races from all over the world. There are bunny girls, cat girls, deer girls, and all kinds of slaves. Good. Because of such a big change in the periphery of the Sabaody archipelago. The staff behind the auction house didn't have time to put these prisoners away. Luffy walked from cage to cage, inside the cage. The prisoners also raised helpless eyes. She looked at Luffy pitifully. There are scars all over their bodies, they have been whipped everywhere, and they were beaten so badly that they were barely tamed in the end. Luffy's eyes darkened. No trade, no harm, such a thing. It is common all over the world. Well, Luffy sighed. If you meet them today, release them all. These cages are just ordinary steel. Luffy squeezed his wrist lightly. The steel was kneaded into a ball by him. The Catwoman and the rabbit girls in the cage saw Luffy's bizarre methods. Everyone covered their mouths in shock. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Book reading fun on Friday. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, April 29th to May 3rd. Open black lens bracket 052 close black lens bracket. I didn't expect you to be so courageous. You were free. After Luffy freed them all, he let them go. The slaves didn't know how excited it was. They never imagined that after they were caught and became someone else's effort, they could escape this land of right and wrong. I thought, the rest of my life will be very gloomy. Now the willows are dark and the flowers are bright. Everyone is grateful to Luffy. Keep thanking Luffy. Then they left here one after another, after Luffy released all the prisoners in the cage. At last, there are only 2 cages left that have not been opened yet. Luffy's gaze, he looked towards the remaining cages. Inside a cage is a giant shackled in sea-stone handcuffs. Another one. It was a man with gray hair, glasses, and a wine gourd hanging from his waist. Luffy didn't know this giant in chains, but the gray-haired old man in front of him. Luffy couldn't be more clear, Pluten Rayleigh, the right hand of One Piece. The silver of gold, silver and copper, really, he sold himself to this auction house. Little brother, good means. The gray-haired Rayleigh looked at Luffy with a smile on his lips. I can't afford your admiration, Mr. Rayleigh, Luffy said standing outside the cage. Oh, Rayleigh paused. Unexpectedly Luffy recognized his identity at a glance. But soon, Rayleigh looked at Luffy and said, I heard that a celestial dragons died outside, did you do it? This is just Rayleigh's guesswork. After all, they have been locked in this cage all the time, and they just heard that the celestial dragons are dead. Although it is estimated that these supernovas did it. A dozen or so supernovae come together, and something has to happen. But come up and do it with the celestial dragons. This surprised Bailey too much. Rayleigh's words. Let the giant in shackles take a brief look at Luffy. This kid, how dare you do anything to celestial dragons? It's me, Luffy readily admitted. Rayleigh was just guessing before, but when Luffy admitted and showed a nonchalant look. He paused for a moment. Ha ha ha. Immediately after that, Rayleigh laughed out loud, and he continued, I never thought that you would be so courageous to attack celestial dragons. Why, Mr. Rayleigh, don't you want to do something to the celestial dragons? Luffy leaned on the cage and said. Rayleigh heard the words. He took a long look at Luffy. Good guy, it is worthy of being the character picked by the redhead Shanks. This works. No sloppy at all, and Luffy also spoke to Rayleigh's heart. He has lived in seclusion in the Sabaody archipelago, and he knows the celestial dragons that are often on the island best. For what these celestial dragons have done, Rayleigh really wanted to do what Luffy did today. Raise the knife and drop it, and get drunk, but considering that he has lived in seclusion. Prevent Marine from retargeting, thinking about it. This idea has always been buried in his heart. When did you go to the island? Rayleigh asked. Just today, I made a special trip to your tavern. Your bad old woman should take care of it. As soon as I went in, her eyes lit up, and she looked like she wanted to kill a fat sheep. No wonder the tavern has no business. If a horse stumbles once, who will stumble a second time in the same place? Luffy complains about Rayleigh's tavern road. Did you say Shaki? You didn't get slaughtered? No, Shaki's character. If Luffy really went to the tavern, he probably would have a terrible meal. Rayleigh is a little worried. Coincidentally, I was really slaughtered. As the master behind the tavern, you have something to do with red hair, and I have something to do with red hair. You say you have to compensate me, give it to me casually. 108 million flowers will do. Luffy rubbed his hands together. I have no money. Rayleigh thought for a long time before saying these 3 words. If you have money, why would he sell himself? No way, you opened a tavern, and a coating factory, and occasionally sold yourself out, and you have no money? You are Roger's deputy, Pluten Rayleigh, you don't have any private money? Luffy couldn't believe it. I really don't have any money. If Shaki really beats you up and returns to the tavern, How about I ask her to return the money to you? Rayleigh said. Forget it, you and your wife have a good face and a bad face, and you are working together as a trader. You may sell me someday, and I am still counting the money for you. Luffy waved his hand, and he continued. Besides, I snatched 7 billion from Marine, so I don't need money for the time being. Embarrassed? Count money? Rayleigh was at a loss for words. At last, Luffy opened Rayleigh's and the giant's cages as well. Actually open these steel cages, there is no need for Luffy to come forward. Finding Rayleigh, though, is a nice bonus. Come outside. Looking at the chaotic streets, Rayleigh frowned slightly. Is Admiral here? It's already on the road. It's less than half a day's journey from Marineford to Sabaody Archipelago. Now Sabaody Archipelago has been surrounded by Marines, and many pirates have fallen into the circle of Marines. Luffy explained. It seems that you came to me with more than just a few words, you came prepared. Rayleigh smiled oddly at Luffy. Of course, Marine Admiral is coming, and I would like to ask Mr. Rayleigh to help me. Luffy said bluntly. Why? With Pluton Rayleigh, Roger's deputy and the Pirate King back then, I have confidence in my heart, and secondly, it can make Marine a lot of fear. Actually, Luffy herself wasn't worried about anything. There are green bulls, there is a smile, and other people whose strength has risen are all there. Marine's strength Luffy really doesn't like it, but the problem is. There are also Nami, Robin, and Usopp whose strength has not been able to keep up for the time being. Anyway, you have to protect their safety first, provided Rayleigh is willing to help. That's one more guarantee. Rayleigh opened the wine gourd at his waist, and the aroma of the wine overflowed. He took a sip and said, You are an interesting kid. Well, I will accompany you on this journey. Here Rayleigh agreed. Luffy's eyes lit up. Admiral? Come on. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Book reading fun on Friday. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, April 29th to May 3rd. 053. Start, Supernova vs Marine Admiral, with Rayleigh. Come on Thousand Sunny. When people like Zoro and Usopp learned that Rayleigh was actually Roger's deputy in the legendary One Piece. Everyone on the ship was shocked. Unexpectedly, Luffy went out for a trip and brought back his deputy, Rayleigh. With so many masters, we are still afraid of a ball with this group of Marines. Usopp grew bolder. Yeah, Chopper also booed. When everyone is ready to go, around Thousand Sunny, several other pirate ships suddenly appeared. The appearance of these ships immediately aroused the vigilance of Usopp, Chopper and others. Look around. Kid, Trafalgar Law, Hawkins, Uroge, Jewelry Bonnie and other 9 supernovas all rushed over. Why are all these supernovas here? Nami said with a serious face. Is it an enemy or an ally? Zoro had already reached for his knife with one hand. If it's fighting, I like it the most. Sanji walked to Zoro's side and lit a pipe for himself by the way. You're the Straw Hat, right? At this time, on the leading ship, Kid, who is currently being offered a bounty of 315 million berries by Marine, had a cold smile on his lips, and he looked at Luffy calmly and said, Being rewarded with a reward of 1.2 billion, we were thrown away by a large part in the supernova. I thought he was a vicious and evil person. When I saw him today, I don't think he has any superpowers. Hawkins, with his blonde hair flying, gazed at Luffy calmly. Ah. Trafalgar Law just glanced at Luffy lightly and let out a sneer. What kind of wind is blowing over so many supernovae today? Luffy came to Thousand Sunny's bow, and he looked at the many ships in front of him without any surprise. 7 or 8 ships. Luffy and others have been surrounded. Unknown. I thought these supernovas were about to break out in civil strife. Don't get me wrong, we're not here to fight today. Jewelry Bonnie stood up, she kept looking at Thousand Sunny, and finally her eyes fell on Luffy. Didn't you come to fight? Luffy was as quiet as a chilling cicada, without any shock. That's right, Straw Hat Boy, your bounty is the highest among our supernovas. Now that Marine is forcing you, let's form an alliance. Kid stretched out his hand and invited Luffy. Alliance? Luffy rubbed his chin. Straw Hat Boy, don't forget, the current situation in Sabaody Archipelago is all because of you. Celestial dragons dared to kill, you are really brave. The strange monk Uroge said calmly. Speaking of which, you have become a thorn in the side of many people now. If you don't want to sink in this Sabaody Archipelago, I advise you to listen to me. Let's all supernova form an alliance. This time the Marine dispatch is very likely it is an existence of the Admiral level, and we cannot defeat it alone. Hawkins followed up Yaruja's words. Actually, at present, all supernovas are hugging each other tightly, which is the most sensible choice. Although Luffy kills the celestial dragons, Marine explodes in rage. Not only was he being targeted by Marine, but he was also being targeted by other Marines in the same industry. Marine Admiral. This is not as simple as a short title. Slightly defeated. The pirates throughout the Sabaody archipelago will be shuffled. Admiral. That is the top strength from Marine. The pirates learned of Admiral's presence. How could one not hate Luffy? Actually, among these supernovas, there are many who can't understand the existence of Luffy. Many people looked cold towards him. One beheads the celestial dragons, attracting the Marine Admiral and putting them in danger. Second, I can't understand him offering such a high reward. The gap is so big, how can this make other supernovas feel embarrassed? From a certain level, Luffy's high reward really shocked the world. But more, it is the envy and jealousy of all of them who are also supernovas. But the enemy is coming. Knowing that they are invincible, they want to reach the new world smoothly. Must be united. Then, Kid, Trafalgar Law, Hawkins, and more round up other supernovas. Finally with everyone, let's invite Luffy. What if I don't ally? Luffy looked at the many supernovas in front of him with a smile. Alliance? Sorry, do I need an alliance? Stinky boy, I advise you, don't toast or eat fine wine. Jewelry Bonnie had a bad temper, pointed at Luffy and said angrily. Then I want to see how you made me drink as a penalty. Luffy turned his head and looked at the handsome Bonnie in front of him, who was not inferior to Nami in beauty. You. Bonnie was angry when he heard this. You really don't want to form an alliance with us? If Marine kills you at that time, don't expect us to save you. Hawkins sneered. I should be the one to ask you this question. I hope you don't become frightened by then. The assembled allied forces were defeated by Marine and dispersed. Luffy looked down on everything. What an arrogant guy. Since my debut, I have never been humiliated like this. The strange monk Yarobe was also secretly angry. That is, if it weren't for the fact that you might become a great help against Marine, I would kill you now. Beeg said indignantly. Don't be too arrogant. Do you really think that being offered a reward of 1.2 billion by Marine makes you a character? Apu clenched his fists tightly. That's right, I really think of myself as the number one person. You guys are halfway to me in talking. Luffy spread his hands and said calmly. Damn it, let me kill you. Between haste. The strange monk Yarobe, Dianian Apu, Beeg, Drake and others jumped into a rage, blowing their beards and staring. They all attacked Luffy in unison, and just when they were about to move towards Luffy. Boom. The dawn in the distance shocked all the supernovas. The violent explosion shook the sky, shattered the air, and a raging fire burned above the sea. Kid, Trafalgar Law, Hawkins, Jewelry Bonnie, etc. all looked towards the sea together. Then they were shocked. Only 20 warships were seen. Heading straight for them all supernova, coming. They were Marine from Marineford. The two admirals lead tens of thousands of Marine troops. The overwhelming and suffocating pressure hangs over the shoulders of everyone present. They drove towards the direction of the supernova mightily. I didn't expect that all of you supernovas gathered together. People arrive before they arrive. A rough voice came from far to near. On 20 warships. Akainu is dressed in a red robe with a rose on his chest. Dressed in Marine Admiral's robes, fluttering in the wind. His face was filled with a murderous look, and he stared fiercely at all the supernovas in front of him. It's just right, so I don't need to go find you in person and solve it together. Akainu looked indifferently at the supernova road in front of him. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Book reading fun on Friday. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, April 29th to May 3rd. 054. Human weapons are dispatched, and the war is about to break out. After seeing the man standing on top of 20 warships. On the supernova side, Beeg, Bonnie, Arpu and a series of supernovas suddenly had their pupils constricted. Immediately afterwards, an unprecedented solemnity appeared. Akainu. Currently one of the 3 admirals in Marine, currently the strongest combat force in Marine. His strength is said to be infinitely close to that of the 4 emperors of New World. Even if people like 4 emperors Kaido and 4 emperors Whitebeard encountered Akainu, they had to be cautious. Compared to the other 2 admirals, Akainu has always been known for killing decisively. I don't know how many pirates died in his hands. It's cruel, it's decisive, it's ruthless. All are rare in the world. Wherever he went, whenever he heard his name, the pirates were all intimidated by the news. Countless pirates died at his hands, and he was captured by the Guan Yu pirate harvester. As usual, ordinary pirates basically cannot escape the torture of prison after being caught. But in Akainu's hands, until now, no one has ever been jailed. What does this mean? Those pirates all died in his hands? When some pirates learned that Akainu came to arrest him, everyone was scared to death on the spot. This is the oppressive force from Marine Admiral and Marine's top combat power, Akainu. See Akainu coming. Everyone is afraid, but after all, it is a supernova. After all, it is an extremely evil generation. Newborn calves are not afraid of tigers, that's what they said. Akainu is indeed scary, but if there is no mountain like Akainu in front of them. Isn't this sea a lot of fun? Admiral Akainu actually came in person. It seems that the Celestial Dragons incident really made Marine angry. That's right, St. Charles Rose, who died without complaint, actually gave us a chance to face the legendary Admiral Akainu. What is Admiral Akainu capable of? Let me meet him. The Supernovas put away the awe in their hearts, showing a rare calmness on their faces. Luffy is beside. In any case, don't be timid. It is they who are talking about swollen faces to pretend to be fat. Straw Hat Boy, whether you agree with our current alliance or not, at least we have become grasshoppers on a rope. Jewelry Bonnie pointed at Luffy. Luffy didn't refute this. They really became grasshoppers on a rope, his gaze. Look at the red 270 dog on the warship. I thought it was Kizaru coming. Unexpectedly, it was the decisive Akainu. Fire. The Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral came out, and the artillery fire on the 20 warships had all locked on the supernova in front of them. He waved his hand, gave the order, bang bang bang. The moment he gave the order, violent artillery burst out from the warship, throwing towards Luffy's Thousand Sunny, small tricks. Facing the artillery fire from Marine, Kid turned himself into Magneto without saying a word. Absorb the surrounding metal and condense into a big hand. With a slap, the cannonball flew out, at the same time. Trafalgar Law is also opening its own op fruit. Almost all shells were diverted. Other supernovas are also flexing their muscles. They used their abilities one after another. Disintegrate this batch of artillery fire. The gunfire of 20 warships, it can't hurt their supernova in the slightest. Straw Hat Boy, don't look down on people too much. You must know that there are mountains beyond mountains, and there are people beyond people. We people are not much worse than you. Bonnie pointed at Luffy domineeringly. The other supernovas also stood behind Bonnie. Although it is a grasshopper on a rope now, Luffy's refusal to join before, and his wild words after adding, obviously made them unhappy. This happened to be by Marine, in order to show their own strength. Let Luffy take a good look at it. These supernovas are not rewarded with a reward of over 100 million by Marine for no reason. That is, if you are too ignorant, you will suffer a lot. Hawkins was also full of sarcasm towards Luffy. Make an alliance with us, or we will leave you as a supernova when the time comes. Kid also has a lot of confidence in his heart because of this big display of skills. Even this time he was in a condescending way. Send an invitation to Luffy from above. Ah, Trafalgar Law still just sneered, he wanted to see it. Straw Hat Luffy, what's next with this mess? Hearing the harsh words of the crowd, Luffy sat helplessly under the mast, AIAF, and he sighed. Didn't it just block a few marine shells? This tail is up to the sky. Peeved. Perona snickered behind Luffy, since the last time Luffy reconciled with her. He didn't restrain her anymore. Let her walk around on the boat at will. Even arranged accommodation and meals for her. Such a big change happened this time. Naturally, Perona couldn't stay in the room either. I didn't expect to see other supernovas making things difficult for Luffy just after they came out. HMPH, strange. Hearing Luffy's words, I thought he was convinced by the means of himself and others. Now, a confidence that comes from the inside out comes to everyone in other supernovas. Luffy acknowledged their strength in disguise. Many people are very happy. Keep firing. Vice Admiral, the Flying Squirrel, saw that the group of supernovas had blocked so much fire coverage, so he just glanced at it plainly, and then directed the other soldiers to continue firing. The supernovas are strong now. No matter how the artillery fire covers them, they can't hurt them at all. Oh hey, is it such a waste of firepower? It seems that it can't hurt those supernova things. Kizaru walked to the side of the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral, and he said to the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral in a lazy tone. Kizaru Admiral. Treating Admiral, the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral is admiration from the bottom of my heart. Kizaru looked away from Vice Admiral, the Flying Squirrel, and landed on Akainu. Sakazuki. Although the higher-ups asked us to destroy the supernova this time, basically the goal is to lock on Luffy, so let me go and meet these supernova, you go deal with the Straw Hat crew. A reward of 1.2 billion can be offered by Marine. Destroy the Enies lobby, capture the Golden Lion. Luffy is clearly a tough character, by contrast. Other supernovas are slightly less than that. Kizaru, who has always been lazy, unceremoniously chose the soft persimmon, and threw the hard bone to Yin. Go ahead. Akainu just said indifferently. Straw Hat Kid? HMPH, I hope you don't let me down. Boom. Just at this moment, a shell flew in the direction of the supernova. Kizaru leaps forward. He actually stepped on the cannonball and flew over. Old man, wait for me. At the moment of Kizaru's action, Senmomaru, as the captain of the science division of the Marine headquarters and Vegapunk's bodyguard, rode 5 pacifist planes and followed Kizaru's path. Supernova here. Just when everyone is fighting these shells with all their strength. A figure covered the sky and attracted the attention of many supernovas. It was Kizaru who came. Kizaru came to Thousand Sunny's boat. Many supernovas now are all on the factory in Thousand Sunny. After Kizaru descended, Senmomaru and 5 pacifist planes also landed one after another, followed by Kizaru. When Kid and Trafalgar Law saw Kizaru, one of Marine's 3 admirals, actually coming in person, everyone's face suddenly darkened. They had only met Admiral Akainu before. Unexpectedly, Kizaru was also there. Damn, this time Marine actually dispatched 2 admirals. 2 admirals, plus the Marines on the 20 warships. The supernovas who had just calmed down, at this moment, they also started to get restless. Restless. Even my heart was ups and downs, and I became a little impatient. An admiral, I am afraid that they will not be opponents if they go all out. Now there are 2 more. How can this be done? Marine. Really value them. Compared to the panic of Kid, Hawkins, Bonnie and others. Luffy sat under the mast, watching Kizaru silently. In the end the old guy still came. Admiral Kizaru, Admiral Akainu. These are really 2 big mountains. Before, I only knew that celestial dragons were very important, but Luffy really couldn't estimate how important they were. Now, the answer is already there. Supernovas are scary though. But he quickly stabilized his mind. If the mentality explodes now, then they might all have to stay here today. Impel down became their destination. This is an uphill battle. They're very clear, must get past it. Just a moment. The supernovas are fighting high. More importantly, the force has already been pretended. Luffy must not let them underestimate them, to know. They are also pirates who have been offered a reward of over 100 million by Marine. Marine Admiral, are you finally going to do it? Are you Marine Admiral Kizaru? I've wanted to compete with you for a long time. Let me see what you can do as a Marine Admiral. Kid, Trafalgar Law, Hawkins suppressed the anxiety in his heart. Marine's top combat power. I'd like to see how you stop us from leaving the Sabodi archipelago. Admiral Kizaru, I will be your opponent, either you die, or I die. Beeg, Apu, Uroge and others faced Kizaru Wendao. Oh hey, you supernovas are really scary. You came up to catch me. I obviously didn't do anything. I deserve to be a pirate with a reward of over 100 million. You speak so confidently. Kizaru said he was terrified, but his wretched face was indifferent. Put your hands in your pockets, the wind is light and the clouds are calm. HMPH, why do you need my old man to deal with you? I alone is enough. Facing the ridicule of so many supernovas, Zahn took the lead and shouted. Say it. He rushed towards many supernovas. I will be your opponent. Kid said towards Zahn Towin. If it was Kizaru, he might. A little afraid. It can be just a war peach bill. Kid really didn't pay attention to it. The fists of both sides collided immediately, and the terrifying impact force spread out to the surroundings. A moment in combat. Kid's complexion changed drastically. Originally thought that Zahn Towin was just a small character, but unexpectedly the strength of the opponent was superior to his own. When he moved his hands, he was almost invincible. Zahn Towin also had a solemn expression. What evil era, what supernova, in his opinion, are nothing but bricks and mortar, nothing to worry about. But when it comes to competition, the kid in front of him really shouldn't be underestimated. The 2 fought, and they were evenly matched. The sky was dark and the ground was dark, and it was in full swing. Kid, let me help you. The strange monk Uroge stepped forward and hurried to help Kid. Their current archenemy is Kizaru. Anyway, you must not waste time on Zahn Towin. 2 people? Come together. Even in the face of 2 supernovas, Senmaru is not afraid. The big axe in his hand opened and closed, and the 2 supernovas were forced to retreat when they fought. Oh, this Zahn Towin is a bit capable, Luffy said calmly. But he is calm, but Kid is different from Uroge. Kid, a supernova with a bounty of 300 million Baileys. Uroge, a supernova with a bounty of 100 million Baileys. He boasted in front of Luffy before, but now he can't take down one of Kizaru's followers. The 2 sensed that Luffy was looking at them vaguely. The 2 of them blushed suddenly and their necks were thick. The strength in the hand has increased again. I'll help you too. I'm coming too. Apu and Kira join in as well. 4 against 1. Even if Zahn Towin has 3 heads and 6 arms, he is not the opponent of so many supernovas. Let you see my hole cards. Zahn Towin was forced to retreat and had no choice but to retreat. Then, he went straight to the pacifists. Pacifist. This is a human weapon made in the appearance of a bear, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Just 4 words of weapons in the world are enough to see the weight of pacifists. During the Sabodi archipelago, or during the Summit War, the pacifists have made great military exploits, as soon as they move. Whether it is speed, strength, or defense, all of them are better than supernova by a large margin. It walks like the wind, and its mouth can even emit a destructive death light. Say it bluntly, with the fighting power of the pacifists now. Without the combination of 3 or 4 supernovae, there is no way to break it. It was Zon Taowen's trump card. 055, Mystery Vision is on. Kizaru, have you ever been kicked by the speed of light? Isn't it just a bunch of broken mechs? Never met a pacifist, nor learned what a pacifist is capable of. The strange monks Yoroj, Bej, Kira and others sneered. Then the 3 joined forces and attacked the pacifists. Unexpectedly, the pacifist disappeared in the same place in an instant. Punch and kick. The speed is galloping. Yoroj, Beeg, and Kira flew upside down. Dropped a piece of shit on Thousand Sunny, what? Seeing the 3 supernovas, they were defeated by the pacifists in an instant. Don't talk about other supernovas, such as Bonnie, Kid and others. Even Zoro and Sanji were surprised. How powerful is this armor? Bonnie, Kid and others also rushed up, do not forget. There are 5 pacifists at the scene, in one-on-one heads-up situations. Supernova is not at all a pacifist opponent for the 5 planes. Everyone was beaten so hard that they couldn't lift their heads. Even Kid, who was offered a reward of 300 million, was no exception. One by one fell to the ground. Those who vomit blood, and those who hold their abdomen. Everyone was seriously injured, the reason why pacifists are called weapons on Earth. Precisely because they are emotionless. Facing the defeated Kid, Trafalgar Law, Hawkins these seriously injured supernovas. All they can do is kill them all. The 5 pacifists opened their mouths wide open. Open your mouth to the 7 or 8 supernovas that fell to the ground. The destructive death light in his mouth is accumulating power. Looking at the pacifists, Bonnie, Kid and others were ashamed. The smug expression of fighting against Marine Admiral, who clamored to unite against Marine before, was gone. Even when Luffy refused their invitation, he taunted that he would never support them until they were at the end of their rope. Now it seems, it's really funny, Kizaru didn't make a move yet. Just his men, Zon Taomaru and several pacifists. Killed all of them. After cleaning up, the 5 bodies threw themselves to the ground. All of a sudden. Shame on Kid, Trafalgar Law, Bonnie, Yoroj. Everyone closed their eyes, prepared to wait for death to come. But just when the pacifists are about to emit the last wave of light to completely annihilate the supernovas. Boom. The unexpected happened, but the 5 pacifist planes in front of them exploded one after another. The wreckage of the explosion burst out, a total of 5 human weapons. It was destroyed in a blink of an eye. What? Seeing the 5 pacifist planes being dismantled in front of him, Zon Taomaru's eyes widened, looking at everything in front of him in disbelief. Who did it? It's not just Zon Taowen. Supernovas like Bonnie and Kid, who originally thought they were doomed, slowly opened their eyes. When they saw the 5 pacifists who had cornered them before. Now it exploded on the spot. They all opened their mouths in shock, looking at everything in front of them in disbelief. Behind the 5 pacifists, the place where the smoke and dust billowed in the air. Luffy was standing there quietly. If the 5 pacifist planes were not dismantled by him, who else would be? He glanced at Zon Taowen, and then landed on these startled supernovas. Is this the strength of a supernova? Even a few pacifists can't deal with the supernova. VR. Bonnie was suddenly furious, but soon she calmed down again. Although angry, but this is an indisputable fact. A group of them can't beat 5 pacifists, in contrast to Luffy. All 5 pacifists were destroyed in an instant. It is clear at a glance which one is strong and which is weak. Coupled with the previous showing off in front of Luffy. Crying out not to join them, once the situation is exhausted, I will never help. In the end it was Luffy who saved himself. The shame and indignation in their hearts became more intense. Bonnie looked down. Kid lowered his head. Trafalgar Law, Drake, Apu and others all lowered their heads. The head of the supernova, Marine offered a reward of 1.2 billion. This is not opportunism at all, it is proved by others with their strength. Thanks to myself, I was still arrogant in front of others. This is simply dancing a sword in front of Guan Gong. This moment, many supernovas are finally convinced by Luffy. Other people who had disliked him before also chose to shut up. If not Luffy, I'm afraid everyone at the scene will die here. Thank you. Although Kid was extremely reluctant to say it out loud, he still lowered his head proudly and thanked Luffy. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to rescue you. Once the 5 pacifist planes shine, Thousand Sunny will inevitably suffer damage. Luffy is not saving them, but feeling sorry for his own ship. These guys. Very good, he actually regards his Thousand Sunny as a battle scene. Looking at the potholes in front of me because of the battle between supernovas and pacifists. Luffy's heart is bleeding. Damn it, you actually directly destroyed 5 of my pacifist planes, take your life. Zon Taowen saw that Luffy destroyed so many frames in one go. He was instantly furious. It doesn't matter how strong Luffy's tactics are or how high the reward is. Take a leap. He jumped up and threw the axe at Luffy. Clang. Facing the ferocious Zon Momomaru. Armament Haki is covered on the arm. Luffy just raised his hand and grabbed his axe, then. Rubber pistol. Punch in the past. Zon Taowen flew upside down and hit the fence hard. People turned on their backs and passed out on the spot. This. Kid, Bonnie, Trafalgar Law and others showed astonishment. Notice. If it is about fighting alone, Zon Taowen's strength is even higher than their supernova. It was all 4 against 1 before, only then did Zon Taowen be suppressed. Nowadays, in front of Luffy, he couldn't make a single move. The supernovas took another breath, everyone was convinced. The 5 body cast of admiration, at last. Luffy's eyes fell on the last enemy above Thousand Sunny. That is, not far away, Kizaru, who was indifferent to the defeat of the 5 pacifists and Senmomaru. Kizaru, one of the 3 admirals in Marine, the existence named after Akainu. Sparkling fruit ability user. Just relying on this devil fruit, he has a speed comparable to that of light. Oh hey, is this the Straw Hat Luffy? The strength is really extraordinary? Kizaru flinched at Luffy with his wretched face. Where is it? How can I be able to get the admiration of the 3 admirals? Luffy turned a blind eye to Kizaru's weakness. It's worthy of being rewarded by Marine with a reward of 1.2 billion. This strength is different from other supernovas. Oh hey, it's really scary. Kizaru glanced lightly at the other supernovas. Luffy just taunted them. Now Kizaru came to taunt him. It's their words, and let yourself have nothing to say. The supernovas feel extremely wrong now, it really confirmed that sentence. The higher you stand, the harder you fall. I knew it earlier. Not so arrogant. Stop slapping your face and pretending to be fat. It can't be compared to Marine Admiral Kizaru. My nephew has been beaten like this and still stands beside him indifferently. I admire this determination. As for me, I know that I am not your opponent, Admiral. If Admiral is willing to let me live, I will definitely repay your old man 1,000 times and 100 times in the future. Luffy said with admiration. Kizaru also wants to show weakness first as always, and then give this group of supernovas who don't know their heights and heights a head-on blow. In order to achieve a supernova situation. But now it seems. Luffy was even more vulnerable than him. He even threw out words like letting him live. I won't talk nonsense with you anymore, Luffy. My target is not you, your opponent is someone else. Kizaru's target is another supernova, as for Luffy. Naturally, I leave it to Akainu to solve it. Unfortunately, your opponent is not me, but mine is you. Do you think you can commit murder on my Thousand Sunny? Luffy looked at Kizaru and said, your tone is not small, have you been kicked by light? Kizaru pondered for a while and said the iconic words. I haven't been kicked, but I want to try, Luffy said calmly. As soon as this word came out, Kizaru, who was originally displeased, also became serious. He looked at the crew of the Straw Hat Pirates at the scene. Immediately afterwards, his eyes were locked on Rayleigh, who was smiling faintly at him with gray hair and reading glasses. Smile, these 2 people, Green Bull. Kizaru didn't know them at all. But Rayleigh is different, One Piece's deputy, Roger's heavyweight cadre. He is actually here. Seeing Rayleigh, Kizaru suddenly realized. No wonder Luffy is so confident, it turns out that there is such a big backer here. I heard that the Straw Hat Pirates just landed on the island not long ago. Actually invited Rayleigh out of the mountain, have to say. Kizaru still admires it, but unfortunately, if I came here alone today, I'm afraid I won't be able to take down these supernovas. Except him, and Akainu. So what if you get an extra Rayleigh? You think, with Rayleigh behind you, you can do whatever you want? Kizaru said nonchalantly. Is not it? Luffy said. Oh hey, it looks like I have to teach you a lesson. Kizaru's eyes gradually turned cold. Shua, suddenly. There was a crackling sound in the air, lightspeed kick. Kizaru disappeared instantly, and then he came behind Luffy. Lifting his leg, he swept towards Luffy with one blow. Face Kizaru's attack. Luffy just said 3 words lightly. God's vision. God is delusional. It's the delusional vision I got from the Golden Lion a while ago. A bug skill that can perfectly replicate the enemy's abilities. And even the ability of Devil Fruit can be copied completely. Luffy's eyes flashed red, and then a rice-shaped pattern appeared in his eyes. 0. Face Kizaru's lightspeed kick, side of his head. Then flashed past. See Luffy avoid. Kizaru didn't change his face. Your speed is quite. He didn't finish his sentence, then the pupils constricted. Luffy in front of him actually raised his leg, and made a lightspeed kicking motion. Then. Luffy said slowly, have you ever been kicked by the speed of light? Boom. Luffy's speed has reached the same level as that of Kizaru before. This foot goes down. Kizaru is hard to guard against. Elementalization didn't even have time to turn on. The whole face was dented by the kick. He is like a kite with a broken string. He was kicked back to the direction of the warship. It smashed hard on the deck of the warship. Kizaru, one of Marine's 3 admirals, is in a terrible mess. He has a shoe print on his face, Admiral, on the warship. Seeing that Kizaru was actually kicked back, suddenly some soldiers swarmed to Kizaru's side and shouted. Light speed kick, after getting up from the ground in disgrace. Kizaru was startled at this second, his eyes fixed on Luffy's direction. That's right. Whether it's speed, strength, or sparkling fruit. That was his own lightspeed kick, the Straw Hat Kid. How did you manage to use your own abilities on him? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Kizaru had a face full of disbelief. Same Akainu was also moved. What moved him was not that Luffy kicked at the speed of light, but that Kizaru flew backwards in such a mess. Although he is usually lazy, but she is also a real marine admiral. Sparkling fruit is nicknamed the fastest devil fruit. Kizaru has developed sparkling fruit to the point of perfection. Nowadays, Kizaru with sparkling fruit is so embarrassed. This Straw Hat Boy is really not simple, Thousand Sunny on. It is also quiet here at the moment. Nami, Robin and others covered their mouths, and Sanji Zoro also stared wide-eyed. Even Rayleigh, Yishao, Green Bull and others paused for a moment. And the Supernovas. When I saw Kizaru was beaten upside down and flew out. I was so shocked that my jaw dropped to the ground. Just as Akainu thought, Kizaru, Marine 3 Admiral. Hit him. It's literally standing on Marine's head. Happily. Luffy really did it, good guy. Is this the strength of being offered a bounty of 1.2 billion? To say before, everyone just admires Luffy, nowadays. They don't even have the guts to fight Luffy. Such a mountain stands in front of us. Admiral is no match for him. How can I fight against him with these caterpillars? At 056, defeat Kizaru, fight Akainu, Thousand Sunny on. Everyone admired Luffy's methods. Those who are subdued cannot be subdued, and those who are humble cannot be humbled. But, compared with others, Yishao, Green Bull, and Rayleigh are different. They judge the situation. I saw it clearly just now. Used by Luffy. Not the rubber fruit ability, on the contrary. He's using one of Kizaru's sparkling fruit abilities, Lightspeed Kick. And adding Luffy's very meaningful words, Kizaru, have you ever been kicked by the speed of light? For a while, the three looked at Luffy in shock. Sight. How did he manage to use Kizaru's fruit to give him a counterattack? Both Yishao and Rayleigh were surprised by Luffy's methods. The Green Bull even stood up from where he was. When fighting with Luffy before, I haven't seen Luffy use this trick. Confront Admiral Kizaru. If let him play. Although he can't defeat Kizaru quickly, he can fight Kizaru on par in a short period of time. But it is absolutely impossible to kick Admiral back with one move like Luffy. The Green Bull was horrified. He remembered the last time he had a fight with Luffy when he invited him on the boat. With such a strong strength, why didn't Luffy use it last time? Could it be that Luffy gave way to her on purpose before? Recent. After joining the Straw Hat Pirates, he also learned a lot about Luffy's abilities. For example, the fourth gear he has never used in front of himself, and those amazing abilities, and the ability that Xiao Xiao once mentioned to jump alive in his gravity circle, and today the ability to copy Kizaru Devil Fruit. Gosh, how much power did he have that he didn't show? Yes, 410, he must not have used all his strength. With so much ability at your fingertips, if a duel is in progress. I'm afraid I'll lose. It's me, Green Bull never expected that Luffy was actually taking care of his own face at that time. Think back to the beginning. Because Luffy didn't beat him, the Green Bull was not less complacent and often talked about it. Now it seems, even the Green Bull is always blushing. Certainly, the Green Bull didn't expect that this was the ability Luffy acquired later. If you really compete with the Green Bull at that time, the loser must be Luffy. No matter how strong Luffy is, he didn't have the strength of Marine Admiral when he invited Green Bull to board the boat. Closer to home. Kicked away by Luffy, and sent a sentence, have you been kicked by the speed of light? Even the nonchalant Kizaru. At this moment, they are all resentful and impermanent. His face was cold. Clenched fists, but even in anger. Kizaru was Kizaru after all, calmed down quickly. It was too fast in the blink of an eye just now, so much so that he didn't even see clearly what ability Luffy was using. Back on Thousand Sunny, Kizaru stared at Luffy and said, what ability did you use just now? Oh hey, what ability am I using, as a Marine Admiral, can't you see it? Luffy said in Kizaru's tone, don't be so arrogant. Kizaru also didn't care about what other Supernovas left for him, and Luffy left for Akainu. He quickly jumped up from the spot. With hands crossed in front of his chest, Marine's robes behind him fluttered in the wind. 8-foot Chonguyu. 8 feet Chonguyu, one of the strongest skills of Sparkling Fruit. Same with Meteor Volcano from Lava Fruit. They are all large-scale killing skills, with powerful combat power to destroy the enemy. Shish. The light that filled the sky hit Thousand Sunny above. Facing the bursting light of so many Sparkling Fruits, Luffy had to be serious. If he had to hide, the 8-foot Chonguyu would not even be able to touch him. But don't forget, at Luffy's feet, but Thousand Sunny. Even if Thousand Sunny is hard, he can't stop the bombardment of Bachi Chonguyu. Once hit, the consequences could be disastrous. I'll stop him. At this time, Yishao stood up, his eyes closed tightly, and he just slowly pulled out his saber, wand done. An invisible barrier, blocked right in front of Thousand Sunny. No matter how fiercely Bachi Chonguyu bombed, it couldn't hurt Thousand Sunny at all. Thousand Sunny is all right, but the surrounding supernova ships were pierced through. Broken, rotten. Even Bonnie, Hawkins and their ships were dismantled on the spot and sank towards the bottom of the sea. See this scene. Bonnie, Hawkins, and the rest of the supernovas are all green. Is this a blunder? Of course not. As early as when these guys approached, they were constantly aggressive and forced them to form an alliance. A smile is not so easy to talk about. He was already unhappy in his heart. At the moment, he is secretly supporting Luffy, brothers. Luffy gives a thumbs up, immediately afterwards. Luffy jumped to his feet. The vacant vision in his eyes did not go away. At this time, Luffy crossed his hands like Kizaru did. After seeing Luffy shake forward with the same movement as himself again. Kizaru finally saw this scene clearly, it was the same action again. Same as Lightspeed kick before, maybe he also. 8-foot Chong Guyu, Luffy spat out 5 words. But his target is not the Kizaru in front of him, but 20 marine warships in the distance. 8 feet Chong Guyu, weapons of mass destruction. Maybe not against Kizaru, but against Usu's neatly lined 20 warships. More than enough. Shish. Countless balls of light shot out from Luffy's hands, bombarding the direction of 20 warships. Sure enough, it confirmed Kizaru's idea. Luffy is really capable of duplicating himself. Isn't he rubber fruit? Why would he use my sparkling fruit? Kizaru's face couldn't calm down at all, at the same time. Marine here. When I saw the 8-foot Chong Guyu smashing towards me. Many people have changed their faces. Kizaru Admiral he. Why are you doing it to us? Meteor Volcano. Facing the 8-foot Chong Guyu, Akainu intercepted without saying a word. Use the Meteor Volcano, which is also a large area of effect ability. Meteor Volcano and Bachi Chong Guyu fight together. Although Akainu used it very delicately, but there are still many 8-foot Chong Guyu who slipped through the net. Hit the warship. Many unlucky ones died on the spot. Akainu's face was also livid. Kizaru's 8-foot Chong Guyu was released towards their warship. Suddenly, with his eyes, he noticed the young man standing not far above the sky. Who else would it be if it wasn't Luffy, 8 feet Chong Guyu? How was it released from his grasp? How is this going? Kizaru this way, when he realized that Luffy was able to copy his abilities. He was already shocked in his heart, so much so that he was in a turmoil. Laser, 8-foot mirror, destroy the death light. All kinds of abilities were displayed by Huang Yuan. Use God's false vision. Not only did Luffy copy it all down, he even returned all these abilities to Kizaru. Kizaru is hard to guard against. Under the attack of laser, 8-foot mirror, etc., I was injured by my own ability instead. Kizaru looked serious. Can he also copy these abilities? What kind of abilities does he have? Amazon Cloud Sword. At last, an angry Kizaru took out the Amakongan sword and slashed towards Luffy with a sword. Facing Kizaru's counterattack, but Luffy grabbed Kizaru's Amakongan sword with his bare hands. Luffy now, already immune to all devil fruit abilities, including Amazon Cloud Sword. With a little force in his hand, the Tiankongyun sword was directly crushed by Luffy. Kizaru's previous bliss is gone now. He looked at Luffy in horror. It's almost like fighting your own mirror image, and this mirror image. In addition to the ability to use sparkling fruit, you can also use Luffy's own ability. Luffy now, rubber fruit has already reached the top level. On development, not weaker than Kizaru's sparkling fruit at all. After turning on the second gear, cooperate with Marine 6 styles, as well as the gains brought by God's vision. Kizaru was beaten back and forth. Luffy puts Admiral Kizaru down. Kizaru was beaten to pieces. He was punched several times in a row by Luffy in the face. He wants to use elementalization to avoid Luffy's attack. Luffy simply used the top Armament Haki, with the blessing of top Armament Haki. Luffy's fighting power. Straight up to the top, Luffy went all out. Kizaru is no match either, not for a while. Kizaru could no longer resist. He knows. I was careless. Luffy was actually able to duplicate his abilities. What the hell is this devil fruit? Isn't Straw Hat Luffy a rubber fruit ability user? Besides rubber fruit, he has other devil fruit. Could it be? He has 2 kinds of devil fruit? Is it an unprecedented variety of demon fruit power? Only with more devil fruit abilities can we end everything in front of us. No, absolutely impossible. Kizaru has never seen such a battle. He, who has always been cautious, was severely injured by Luffy at this moment. Glanced at the marine warship. Gotta get out of here now. Kizaru ran back in the direction of Marine in desperation. Want to go? Have you asked me? Luffy flies by. Murin came right in front of Kizaru, blocking his thoughts of retreating. I have to say, you are very strong. I underestimated you, but don't get carried away. When did Kizaru suffer such humiliation? He stared at Luffy through gritted teeth. You better take care of yourself first. Luffy, the shot was very decisive. Kizaru was beaten and retreated. Finally, Luffy pierced Kizaru's shoulder with a laser. Blood sprayed all over the place, splashing on the spot. Kizaru is completely powerless. Go to hell. Facing these admirals who made him and others their enemies, Luffy showed no mercy. Seeing that Kizaru is about to lose, when it is about to collapse. The warship here. Akainu can't sit still. A supernova can't deal with it, although they lose face to Marine Admiral. But Kizaru is at least the top combat power of their marine. In the event of an accident, Akainu, who is also Admiral, is duty-bound. Just when Luffy was about to end Kizaru, Akainu appeared. Blocked Luffy's punch. Stopped this scene in time. The delusional vision in Luffy's eyes released red light, and his eyes fell on Akainu. Akainu. Akainu glanced at Luffy, then turned to Kizaru and said, "Can't you take down a mere supernova? You really are going back as you live. You have to be careful with his eyes, this kid may be more than one demon fruit power." Kizaru yelled at Akainu while holding his heavily wounded wound. After a long fight, Kizaru sensed it keenly. It is because of Luffy's bizarre eyes that endowed him with this miraculous ability. Perhaps, in addition to his rubber fruit ability, other devil fruit endowed him with the ability of those strange eyes. Multiple demon fruit power? Impossible. Akainu hears this and denies Kizaru's idea. There are unwritten rules above the sea, except that no two identical devil fruits will appear at the same time. That is, one person can only take one devil fruit at most. Take one more, and it will be downright poisonous. Akainu looked towards Luffy. It seems that this Straw Hat Kid has something special that we don't know about. But so what if there are advantages? Akainu waved his hand. 20 warships directly surrounded their group of supernovas. Live battle. Instantly. Many giant vice admirals were dispatched one after another, more than 30 pacifist planes also came out one after another, and tens of thousands of marine elite soldiers, as well as the fire coverage of 10 warships. Akainu also saw Rayleigh above Thousand Sunny, since he chose to stand on the side of Super New 4.0 star. Then don't blame the marine for being ruthless. Take down all these supernovas. Akainu gave an order. All the people in marine rushed forward. Since then, a battle between supernova and marine. It exploded completely. Zoro, Sanji, Frankie Usopp and others also joined the battle. Is the fight finally going to start? The Green Bull can't wait. With one punch, the pacifist who had tortured the supernova before exploded on the spot. Must heat Thousand Sunny. The gravitational formation spread out with a smile, just like Conqueror's Haki, and a large number of marines in front of them were all suppressed on the ground. The other supernovas also endured serious injuries to help the Straw Hat Pirates fight against marine. And the marine side, Vice Admiral and pacifists are also involved. If the strength of pacifists is above that of supernovas, then the strength of Vice Admiral is still higher than that of pacifists. Their combat effectiveness, even Zoro and Sanji are hard to resist. Especially the two veteran Vice Admirals, the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral and the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral. They have the ability to substitute Admiral. How could Zoro and Sanji be their opponents? And just when the two were about to lose, Rayleigh and Yishao stood up. What's bullying the juniors? Come with us for a walk. Rayleigh cut at Vice Admiral, the Flying Squirrel. This situation. There was chaos on the spot. The war broke out completely. Everyone is fighting with their lives. Luffy here. He has only one gaze. That is the Akainu who made countless pirates fear. After taking out Kizaru, Luffy confronts Akainu again. 057, Admirals Admiral, Green Bull and Akainu. I didn't expect that you could defeat Kizaru. Thinking of Kizaru's defeat just now, although Akainu extremely despises this group of superstars, but for Luffy, Akainu also shows a little dignified. Don't worry, Akainu, you are next. There was a sharp edge in Luffy's eyes and said. Snort. Akainu sneered. A layer of magma appeared on his arm. In a blink of an eye, the arm was covered with magma. Great eruption. Akainu made a lava fist and threw it towards Luffy. Luffy's side, lava fist brushed past him, but this moment. Luffy's arms are also covered in lava. Luffy had a smile on his lips. Great eruption. He used Akainu's ability again. How can it be? Akainu's expression changed drastically. Almost the same as the previous Kizaru. This is great eruption. But my lava fruit ability, how could he use it? Suddenly, Akainu's eyes froze. He remembered the 8-foot Chonguyu that Luffy had used before. Plus Kizaru suspects many devil fruit abilities. Does he really have the power of 2 devil fruits? Akainu's expression changed for the first time. His hawk-like eyes fixed on Luffy and did not let go. One is rubber fruit, so what is the other devil fruit? Is sparkling fruit, or your own lava fruit? Whatever the devil fruit, it has been confirmed that Luffy has the ability to use 2 devil fruits. Did not think of, among this group of superstars. There is an extra variable like Luffy. Akainu was also overly surprised, which caused him to not react in time for a while. Get hit by Luffy's great eruption, but it's also lava fruit ability. Even if it was hit by its own great eruption, Akainu just spit smashed. You can use 082 devil fruits? How did you do it? Akainu yelled at Luffy, think whatever you want. Luffy chuckled, Just say what you want me to say, wouldn't I be very embarrassing? Among the group of superstars today, there are variables like you, Straw Hat Boy, it's hard to keep you. Akainu already had killing intent, if not leave Straw Hat Luffy here today. I'm afraid it will be their Marine who will suffer in the future. Notice. Just what Luffy did before. Enies Lobby, Golden Lion, G66 Marine Branch. All are big events that have caused a sensation in the world. Leave him alone. It will be a big problem. I haven't encountered it in the past, but now I have encountered it, and I must solve it. Raising tigers is a problem. This is not what Akainu wants to see. Then you have to see if you have the strength, Luffy said. HMPH, the grass on the grave of the pirate who talked to me like this last time is already 2 meters high. Akainu looked cold. Luffy must be killed today, Dark Hound. Raise your hand. Akainu threw a punch. A wolf's head blasted out from his hand, carrying strong lava, heading straight for Luffy. Dark Hound. Luffy also uses Dark Hound. The 2 wolf heads collided, and a wave of air spread out towards the surroundings. The magma was everywhere, splashing on the spot, and bursts of sound waves came from the air. Great Eruption. Akainu uses Great Eruption again. Except Great Eruption, he uses the abilities of other Lava Fruit again. But these Lava Fruit's capabilities, they were all copied by Luffy. Luffy and Akainu collide. One is the current Marine 3 Admiral, Sakazuki, who has terrified countless people. The other one is Chao Luffy, who was offered a reward of 1.2 billion by Marine. The two faced each other. Suddenly it was dark. The fists and shadows intertwine. Each punch has the power to shock the sky and the earth, and the speed of the two is very fast. It hit the sky from the ground, and fell from the sky to the sea. It was as if several atomic bombs had been dropped on this sea, exploding infinitely, breaking through the sea of clouds, and piercing the sky with full firepower. Boy, it looks like your second devil fruit has the ability to copy other people's history. Although Akainu keeps fighting fiercely with Luffy, he is also constantly thinking about what Luffy's second devil fruit is. Can release the ability of sparkling fruit, can release the ability of lava fruit. It's definitely not a single sparkling fruit and lava fruit. Then there is only one result. His second devil fruit has the ability to copy or imitate others. Even if I don't want to admit it, but I have to say. If you want to defeat Luffy, you have to start with his second devil fruit ability. The battle is still going on, because the fight between Luffy and Akainu is too big. The following Marines and Superstar rookies also stopped. He looked towards Luffy and Akainu, who were fighting fiercely in the sky. I don't know if I don't see it, but I was shocked when I saw it. The Superstar novices swallowed their saliva. Notice. After Luffy finished fighting Kizaru, he continued to run into Akainu. This symbolically shows that Luffy is already challenging the 2 Marine Admirals. This time Marine dispatched 2 Admirals. They thought Akainu and Kizaru came for themselves and others. Now it seems. This is not for them. This is for Luffy, the man with a bounty of 1.2 billion. To be on the safe side, send out 2 Admirals to arrest him. The 2 Admirals took turns, in contrast to Luffy. Even in the face of the full bombardment of the 2 Admirals, they can handle it with ease. This gap. Make them daunting. Luffy, Superstar new head. Is his strength actually so strong? The Superstar rookies sighed. They suddenly realized that their hands were shaking. Luffy brings them too much pressure. Luffy. Looking at Luffy, who was on par with Akainu in the sky, Rayleigh pushed his reading glasses. There was a look of relief in a pair of eyes. As expected, Shanks selected and presented Straw Hats. This strength. Strong enough for this time period. Given time. In the future, maybe we can really achieve Roger's goal in person. At first Rayleigh was only interested in Luffy, but when seeing such a bizarre talent of his, Rayleigh made up his mind. Anyway, definitely take Luffy out of this Saboti archipelago, no matter how hard it is. Besides Luffy, Akainu, I don't believe you can copy these. See Luffy constantly using his abilities to attack himself. Akainu flew into a rage. Once upon a time, he has been hit like this. He raised his lava fruit to the limit, exerted all his strength, and blasted out the Great Eruption of full strength with one punch. This is completely different from the previous Great Eruption. The reason why Admiral is called Admiral. That's because they are Marine's top combat power, catching up to New World's 4 Emperors. Under full force. Rare rivals. Watching the air be distorted by burning. Luffy narrowed his eyes. This temperature, this strength, and Akainu who charged his attack. If it were Luffy in the original book, I am afraid that with Akainu's blow, Luffy would have to die here. This is also explained from the side. The horror of Admiral's strength. Chao Xingxin is too far away from Admiral. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a new classic scene where one mouthful is so scary and one kick is Superstar. In the eyes of others, he and Admiral are evenly matched. But isn't Luffy himself clear? Kizaru was caught off guard by using false vision. And used Kizaru's sparkling fruit ability to defeat him. With Kizaru this lesson, Akainu is more cautious, keeping an eye on Luffy's second fruit at all times. Plus Akainu doesn't talk nonsense with you, and he uses Thunderclap when he comes up. Go it alone. Luffy can fight Akainu for 10 days and 10 nights. Reenacting the battle between him and Aokiji in Icefire Island. Now Akainu is even more powerful. Luffy is also happy and unafraid. Raising his hand, Luffy's fire-breathing ability to charge up a blow with a single slap was counteracted. Devil Fruit is immune to all but blind vision. It is also one of Luffy's cards. Hateful. Akainu was annoyed. He found, not only does Luffy copy his own abilities, he is also extremely calm when counteracting his Devil Fruit's attack. Akainu's strongest means now is his Lava Fruit. Now, Lava Fruit came back without success. Akainu's face is livid. The situation is now leveled off. Luffy can't take down Akainu, and Akainu can't take down Luffy. Ha ha ha, first thought Marine Admiral was so strong, one was disabled, and the other couldn't even take down Superstar Shin. When the two sides were confronting each other in the sky, a rough voice came from behind Luffy. Turning around, it was Lu Sheng. Green Bull, why are you here? Asked Luffy. Those Marine Vice Admiral, the pacifists are too weak, they have to gnaw hard bones. The Green Bull stared at Akainu and said, he had long wanted to take on Admiral. Luffy has been occupying Kizaru and Akainu, and he can't do anything. So went to Giant Vice Admiral, Pacifist etc. In the end he was disappointed. These giants, Vice Admiral, are not strong enough to fit their teeth. And the pacifists who tortured Chaoxing Shin to death before were like paper. Crumble it. Pity his fists. Anti-aircraft guns shoot mosquitoes, overkill. Well, how about we capture this Akainu today? You said that the Golden Lion was exchanged for 4 billion, and the Akainu in its heyday is at least worth the same price. Luffy's eyes are full of money. Okay, that's exactly what I mean. Green Bull is a fighting maniac, and his goal is to fight against New World's masters. Now Akainu is standing in front of him, he won't miss anything. Two guys, what do you take me for? Akainu said angrily. Luffy is really strong, Akainu recognized him, even if it is yourself. It is difficult to win him without 10 days and 10 nights. But who is the Green Bull? Akainu glanced at him. Nobody. How dare you try to challenge yourself? Eat bear heart leopard gall. Is this where he can come to? And judging from the dialogue between these two people, what do they think of themselves? Want to exchange money like Golden Lion. How could Akainu not be angry? Golden Lion has become a great disgrace to the sea. He will definitely not be the second. If you want him to become a prisoner, it's better to die directly. Watch out. The Green Bull has long been ready to move. Immediately, he waved his fist and threw it at Akainu. Court death. Akainu saw that the Green Bull underestimated him so much, he was very angry. A nobody. See how I take you down at 500. The two collided like two missiles. Green Bull's fists are like machine guns. His hair danced wildly, his eyes shot, and his fists landed on Akainu's body with boundless impact. Akainu was extremely angry at first, but after fighting the Green Bull. Akainu was shocked. This Green Bull. The strength is not even below him. How can it be? In the Straw Hat Pirates, besides Luffy, is there such a powerful guy? I didn't notice for a while. Plus Akainu looked down on the Green Bull before. Under the attack of the fist prints all over the sky. Akainu also received several punches in the face. The teeth that were beaten flew out, and the mouth was full of blood. Is this the strength of Admiral? I just lost a few teeth when I came up, and it's nothing more than that in my opinion. Green Bull sneered. Don't underestimate people. He was deflated when he came up, and he was ridiculed by the Green Bull. What kind of temper tantrum is Akainu? He went all out again. This moment. The two sides fought equally, you come and go, all the cards are played. The Green Bull's face also changed. This Akainu deserves to be a Marine Admiral, and he was almost overwhelmed with all his strength. Almost escaped and was pinned down by Akainu. Akainu was also shocked again, thinking that he would find some ground after going all out. Unexpectedly, the Green Bull caught them all, to know. This is my full blow. He means Akainu. If you can catch it, look at the whole world. Less than a single digit. But besides Luffy, there is actually a second person on the Straw Hat Pirates. Who are you? Why did you appear on the Straw Hat Pirates? Akainu said in surprise. Me? I'm just a wanderer. I joined the Straw Hat Pirates by luck and served for the Captain Luffy. Akainu wants to keep my captain in the Sabaody archipelago. Let's try to beat me first. The Green Bull said arrogantly. How dare? Akainu rushed forward. The Green Bull is also facing difficulties. The fierce battle between the two was spread in the sky. Wen's level of risk is not weaker than when Luffy and Akainu competed before. Bang bang bang. Luffy watched the fight between the Green Bull and Akainu. He did rest. Prolonged use of vain vision. Eyes are a little sore. Really? Although this false vision is a bug, it cannot be used for a long time. It's been a long time, or overused, really blind. Luffy doesn't want to be blind. It seems. In the future, it is better to use less delusional vision to fill cups. 058. Outrageous, the Straw Hat Pirates chased Admiral all over the sea. Luffy closed his eyes and rubbed them. The fatigue caused by delusional vision subsided a lot. His gaze moved towards the Green Bull and Akainu. Both have the power of Marine Admiral. The battle was dark, and it was not comparable at all. Akainu has the power of Akainu, and the Green Bull has the power of the Green Bull. But, although it looks comparable, Akainu had fought fiercely with Luffy before, but now he met the Green Bull again, and his momentum was much weaker. Not to mention the current Green Bull, who is wholeheartedly attacking Akainu. In contrast to Akainu, in addition to fighting against the Green Bull, you have to worry about Luffy, who is watching from the side. Once he launched a sneak attack. I'm afraid I have to explain here today. No matter how strong Akainu is, he saw it too, if Luffy and Green Bull combine. He is definitely not a match for the two of them. Damn, if only Kizaru hadn't been hit hard. Akainu is kind of alone. Left and right, Akainu was suppressed by the Green Bull. He was forced to retreat steadily by the Green Bull. Admiral, we're here to help you. Seeing Akainu being suppressed, Vice Admiral the Flying Squirrel, Vice Admiral the Ghost Spider, and others were all anxious and rushed up immediately. But at the moment of their action, a sword chi brushed past them. The Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral and the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral turned their heads. Immediately afterwards, his eyes became calm. It was Rayleigh who emitted this sword energy. Your opponent, Kong. In order to let Luffy and the others leave the Saboti archipelago, Rayleigh drew his sword. Rayleigh, are you sure you want to fight our Marine again? Rayleigh, it's true that our Marines have no law for you, do you? Vice Admiral, the Ghost Spider, and Vice Admiral, the Flying Squirrel, saw Rayleigh and their momentum weakened by half. But Akainu is in trouble, they must fight together. If I really want to go back to the days when I was wanted by Marine, I don't care, Luffy is very important, and I am sure today. Rayleigh raised his sword and pointed at the two Vice Admirals in front of him. Court death, then let me test whether you still have the strength you used to have. Vice Admiral, the Flying Squirrel, is also a swordsman, and he will go up with his sword. The Ghost Spider Vice Admiral is not far behind. Rayleigh fights two Vice Admirals alone. He is old and strong. Fabulous swordplay. Even Vice Admiral, the Flying Squirrel, and Vice Admiral, the Ghost Spider, the two backups Admiral, was horrified. This is Rayleigh's strength. Not lost at all. Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral and Ghost Spider Vice Admiral couldn't help Akainu. But other giants Vice Admiral, pacifists, and tens of thousands of Marines can go to support. Immediately, Marines giant Vice Admiral and tens of thousands of elite Marines also rushed to Akainu. Anyway, a little pressure for Admiral Akainu too. Gravity magnetic field, however, an invisible aura enveloped tens of thousands of Marines. I saw that there were tens of thousands of Marines, as if there were two big mountains on their shoulders, and their legs seemed to be stuck in the mud. The huge pressure made them all lie on the ground. Can't move. Couldn't even lift a finger. Even the giant Vice Admiral was sweating coldly on his forehead at this moment. Half kneeling on the ground. Can't hold my head up. At this time, a blind man stands among tens of thousands of Marines. Leaning on crutches, he walked through the bushes of Marine step by step. Although I don't want to fight with you, Marine, I can't let you distract my captain. This is the gravity fruit of a smile. As soon as the fruit of gravity comes out, all Marines in a large area were lying on the ground. Call out all pacifists. The 20 remaining pacifists on the side also attacked at this moment. If the pacifists don't do it again, I am afraid. This situation is really hard to reverse, gravity array. But, just when the pacifists were ready to move, with a smile, he just calmly raised his hand. Make a fist with one hand. The pacifist in the distance seemed to have been hit hard, and was squeezed into a thin manhole cover on the spot. 20 pacifists. In a blink of an eye, it was squeezed into a manhole cover. And the ground they were standing on, it was also squeezed and sunken in. What? Seeing a smile means the blind man. The giant Vice Admiral, the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral, the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral, and even the Supernovas on the side were shocked. They rubbed their eyes. Is this a weapon developed by their Marine? Only so little strength? Not dispatched yet. It's destroyed. What about human weapons? Is it more than enough to deal with Supernovas? Many Vice Admirals froze in place by mistake, now. The Supernovas couldn't believe it either. I even suspect that everything I see is fake. Is this still the pacifist who tortured them to death? In front of a smile, it's like a piece of paper, it will break if you poke it. Bonnie opened her mouth wide, and after she glanced in surprise and smiled, she then looked at the green bull in the sky who was fighting fiercely with Akainu. At last, her beautiful eyes fell on Luffy. Luffy, this guy. In addition to their own strength, the strength of this crew. How is it so powerful? Rayleigh, Yishao, Green Bull. They all showed their strengths, this just shot. Tens of thousands of Marines directly lost their combat effectiveness. Only Akainu is left struggling. If all the members do not sing, it is enough, and the day is amazing. The fighting power of the Straw Hat Pirates is so strong that it is outrageous. Supernovas are desperate. Thinking that I and others were very conceited at the beginning, I came to Luffy and invited him to join me. As well as Luffy's faint smile, at that time. They still don't know why Luffy is laughing, now it seems. Everything has surfaced. Luffy was just laughing at their overreaching. Guangong played big swords in front of him, plop plop. Kid, Trafalgar Law, Hawkins, Bonnie and many more. All sat down on the ground, empty eyes, listless. On the bright side, it is a duel between Supernova and Marine. Actually, this has turned into a battle between the Straw Hat Pirates and Marine. Ridiculous. People like myself thought they had passed the first half of the Grand Line. This second half is probably nothing more than that. The powerhouses of New World are nothing more than that. But when you meet a real strong man, only then do they know what it means to be ignorant, what it means to be short-sighted, and what it means to sit in a well and watch the sky. These words, "It's me," tens of thousands of Marines were suppressed, Akainu couldn't play the advantage, and Kizaru was hit hard. Marine. The tide is gone, it stands to reason, if Marine does lose, they should be happy. The rest of my life. After escaping the Saboti archipelago again, you can go to the second half of the Grand Line. Pirates Paradise New World, but why, are you not happy at all? Yes. All Supernovas were hit. The fierce battle with Akainu continues. Luffy originally wanted to help. The two shot together. Just catch Akainu and redeem the bounty. But Green Bull felt that this was inappropriate. As a fighting maniac, he wanted to fight Marine Admiral wholeheartedly. LV Sheng can't do things that take advantage of others' dangers for the time being. Worth mentioning, since Green Bull wants to compete with Akainu. It didn't matter to Luffy. This doesn't, just over 3 hours. The two sides have passed 4,000 or 5,000 moves. But still on par, evenly matched. Ha ha ha, happy, really happy. The Green Bull laughed boldly, whether it's a smile or Luffy. At least the contest with each other will not be a life and death struggle. May Akainu be different. The two sides fought with each other for 4,000 or 5,000 moves. The move is fatal. Isn't that exactly what the Green Cow wanted in the first place? Compared with the boldness of the Green Bull, Akainu has bulging veins on his forehead. He's looking at Luffy and he's looking at the Green Bull. No matter which of these two guys they are, their strength is not inferior to theirs. Looking at the soldiers on the 20 warships, almost the whole army was wiped out. All soldiers were crushed to the ground by the gravitational magnetic field. Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral and Ghost Spider Vice Admiral are no match for Rayleigh. The giant Vice Admiral was suppressed by Yishao, and 20 or 30 pacifists were wiped out. Their marine is already gone, if it weren't for Akainu's hard work. I'm afraid there now. The whole road has been reduced to prison. Hateful. 2 admirals were dispatched, dozens of vice admirals, more than 30 pacifist planes, and tens of thousands of elite marines. But still can't take down these supernovas. Shame. What a shame. However, Akainu also understands the situation in front of him. It has exceeded his imagination. There are too many masters on the Straw Hat Pirates. Luffy, the Green Bull counts as 1. Rayleigh below counts as 1. There is also a smile that crushed tens of thousands of elite soldiers. The strength of these people, at least they have reached the admiral level. 4 strong players of admiral level strength. They are on the marine side, but there are only 2 of them. Who is strong and who is weak? See the truth. 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. They must go back. Drink. Akainu roared loudly, and suddenly began to exert strength. Well done. The Green Bull thought Akainu was going to continue fighting. Even after fighting for a long time, the Green Bull is alive and well. But just when the Green Bull was about to continue to compete with Akainu. Kizaru, get out now. Akainu felt the wind on his feet, and suddenly walked towards the warship. Then yelled at Kizaru, after 3 hours of conditioning. Kizaru also recovered a lot. Good, he also sees the situation clearly. Smile, Green Bull, Luffy, Rayleigh, and so many other helpers. If you don't leave, I'm afraid it will be too late. 20 warships immediately turned around and returned the same way. Want to go? See, Akainu actually wanted to escape, and the Green Bull was stunned for a while. Immediately after that, he chased after him. Luffy also frowned. He didn't think about it either. Akainu, who always upholds justice, sometimes runs away when encountering pirates. That's Akainu. Who is Akainu? Upright, absolute justice is his endorsement. Now there is also a scene of fleeing and embarrassment. Luffy was instantly amused, but want to withdraw from their hands. It's not that easy either. Luffy lets Frankie control Thousand Sunny. Catch up. That's all. A very strange scene appeared on the sea. 20 warships fled desperately ahead. There is only 1,000 Sunny behind him. A pirate ship is running after 20 warships, not to mention. There are actually 2 members of Marine, Admiral, on board the warship. Akainu and Kizaru. Now, Marine will lose face. Usopp, do you still have your voice shell? Luffy asked Usopp. Yes, 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 Usopp nodded. Okay, Usopp, Chopper, Frankie, I'll give you a mission to scold these Marines with sound shells, it doesn't matter what you scold. Luffy arranged tasks for them. Curse, Usopp doesn't know why Luffy did this though. But he doesn't have the strength, but he still has the level of cursing. Immediately, Usopp cursed with a sound shell in his hand. Akainu, you are Marine Admiral in vain, and you were actually chased by our Marine today, and you won't be afraid to laugh your ass off if it spreads. The two Admirals were chased away by our Straw Hat Pirates today. This is really a rare thing in the sea. What if you escaped back to Naval Headquarters? After this battle, you will be a disgrace to Marine. Do you think that Marine will protect you? You are wrong. Marine will become the laughingstock of countless pirates in the sea because of your defeat today, and you, Akainu, will be FK'd. Husband refers to. Not only your marshal, but Marijoy will not let you go. It's ridiculous that you Marines sent out two admirals and ended up in this situation. Admiral Akainu, from now on 10,000 years. Made. Luffy gives Usopp the thumbs up. Think about it differently. If I were Akainu, wouldn't I be so angry that I would vomit blood? Really? The kung fu on the lips is still Usopp's. Plus. Really Zhao, Akainu is notoriously short-tempered. It has sound amplification effect. The Marine soldiers on the 20 warships can hear it. This C is the sound of Usopp, estimated. Akainu must be going crazy. These guys, I can't wait to smash them into pieces. In fact, on the warship, Akainu has expanded. Akainu gritted his teeth, wishing to tear the evil pirate who scolded him to pieces. When did he Akainu get insulted like this? Simply Kizaru restrained Akainu quickly. It is imperative now. It is necessary to flee back with Marine's elite. At best, he would be scolded by the marshal if he fled back. But once all the elites are wiped out, then their responsibility is great. Akainu also calmed down. Listen to the bitter words in your ears. He clenched his fists, but I also know that this is not the time to act impulsively. Another day. I will annihilate all of you Straw Hat Pirates. 20 warships fled without looking back. Captain, let's just take all these 20 warships together. The Green Bull feels ashamed of Luffy. Just now Luffy said that the two teamed up to capture Akainu, and he didn't want to take advantage of the danger so he chose to fight alone. This Akainu escapes, he definitely cannot get away with it. It's okay, although these two people are very exhausted, the camel is bigger than the horse, after all, there are two admirals, and there are more than 10 vice admirals. It will cause a situation where both lose-lose. Moreover, even if we dispatch all the troops, it will be difficult to keep all 20 warships here. Luffy said calmly, just chasing and scolding is enough. Isn't Akainu famously strong? Starting today, Luffy wants his real legacy 10,000 years. The Straw Hat Pirates chased Marine Admiral across the ocean. Keep playing music and dancing, Usopp, keep yelling at me. 059, Airborne Marineford, singled out Garp Sengoku. The Straw Hat Pirates chased 20 warships until Marineford. Among Marineford, when it was learned that 20 warships fled back in embarrassment. Naval Headquarters hastily sounded the alarm, woo. A burst of horns sounded throughout the headquarters, just like the whistle in a fire station. Countless Marines took action one after another. What happened? Hearing the rapid siren, Sengoku hurried out of the marshal's office. A lieutenant junior grade hurried to Sengoku. Marshal, the Straw Hat Pirates are here. What? Sengoku flew into a rage. Garp, who was standing next to Sengoku, also stared. Who do you think killed it? Straw Hat Pirates. Lieutenant junior grade said with an ugly face. How much skill does this brat have? Garp frowned at me. Notice. Before that, they have dispatched Admiral Kizaru and Akainu to lead the Marine elite troops to Saboti Archipelago to destroy this gang of superstars. Even to deal with the Straw Hat Luffy who offered a reward of 1.2 billion. 2 admirals are specially sent there. The results of it? As the superstar new Straw Hat Luffy not only was not captured in Saboti Archipelago, but was killed in Marineford instead. Even Sengoku frowned. Follow me to have a look. Sengoku, Garp, and many vice admirals all left here and ran towards the coast. Off the coast of Marineford at this time, since the alarm was sounded. A total of 50 warships filed out from the headquarters, as if they were facing a big enemy. They formed formations in front of the coast of Marineford to meet the enemy. At this time, Akainu, Kizaru, and Marine soldiers with 20 warships appeared in front of them in a state of embarrassment. Not only that, behind them, the Straw Hat Pirates are still in hot pursuit. See this scene. Marine in Marineford was shocked. Those are their 2 admirals. Akainu and Kizaru, the mainstay of their marine, the strongest top combat power. Why are you so embarrassed now? Many Marines widened their eyes. There is a good saying. A soldier who doesn't want to be a general is not a good soldier. $390. In a high position, Marines top record. It is the object of worship and admiration by countless people. It is also the goal that countless people pursue all their lives. However today, in their impression, the tall admiral collapsed. The bloodline Madara on Akainu and Kizaru is exhausted, even like a defeated general, it can't be more miserable. At the same time, they also noticed Akainu, the pirate group that was chasing after Kizaru. Look at that flag, isn't it the Straw Hat Luffy of Yongming in the first half of the Grand Line recently? It was him. Could it be? Is this Straw Hat Luffy, chasing his own admiral back to Marineford? See the truth of the matter. Many Marines had turbulent waves in their hearts. Is this real? The Straw Hat pirates were able to chase the two admirals from Sabodi Archipelago to Marineford. The other side. Stop, with one move, Luffy made Thousand Sunny stop. I caught up with Marineford so quickly. Look at the towering naval headquarters on the island in the distance. It looks like this is Marineford. Indeed, these warships escaped too fast, and I haven't even scolded them enough. Usopp continued to say. This time, it was the happiest day he had had in more than 20 years. Admiral Kizaru, Admiral Akainu, that's a well-known big shot in Marine. Now, fleeing under his mouth cannon, not even able to resist. Can Usopp be upset? At first he just greeted Akainu, called him shameless or something. After you are proficient, you will make progress. Start directly by greeting 18 generations of ancestors of Akainu and Kizaru. 18 generations of greetings vividly. Nami, Robin are too embarrassed to stand on this deck. And the Marine side, Kizaru could still hold his breath. Akainu almost turned around and fought back with them. All in all, from tonight, Marine 3 Admiral's reputation has plummeted. There are already 50 warships dispatched from Marineford, and they are already in formation. Once the gunfire locks onto us, I'm afraid it will be no less powerful than Buster Call. Luffy. We can't get any closer. Frankie frowned, saying that he couldn't get any closer. Once it enters the launch range of 50 warships ready to go. The consequences are unimaginable. I know, we should go back here, Luffy said. Wait a minute. Just when Luffy was about to turn around. Over there on the Marine warship. A man wearing a robe and a hat, with the words, Justice, printed on the robe behind him came out. After seeing this dignified and majestic man, Luffy narrowed his eyes. Being able to stand in the C position of Marine, and surrounded by so many Vice Admirals. Who else is there but Marshal Sengoku? Marshal Sengoku. Luffy said calmly. Hear Luffy call out the other person's name. Eyelids of Usopp, Zoro, Sanji and others jumped. Immediately afterwards, they all looked towards the house of the warship. Is that person on the opposite warship the Marine's admiral? To be honest, this is the first time they have seen each other. Straw Hat Luffy. Just now, from the mouth of the defeated Marine soldiers, Sengoku learned that both Akainu and Kizaru were defeated by Luffy. This is Admiral, the two of them, although very disbelieving. But this is from the mouth of the defeated soldiers. Sengoku accepted the fact of the matter anyway. Why, Mr. Marshal, you see me visiting with the crew, do you want to treat us to dinner? Lu said to Sengoku with a teasing tone. Straw Hat Luffy, if you'd like to come to Marineford for a dinner, you're welcome in my office anytime. Sengoku responded to Luffy. It is said that Mr. Marshal is cunning. I didn't believe it at first, but I saw it today. You are really cunning like a fox. Please enter the urn and lure wolves into the house. Is this trying to keep our Straw Hat pirates here? Luffy still said in the teasing tone before. Yes, I just want to put you all in impel down. Sengoku shook his shoulders, then confessed. Old Marshal, you are of the same generation as my old man Garp, and we are still relatives. It stands to reason that I should also respectfully call you old man, but I didn't expect that you, who are of the old man's generation, would actually want to imprison me as a junior and impelled down. It's really sad, Luffy said dejectedly. HMPH, do you think I'll let you go today after killing so many Marine soldiers and killing the celestial dragons of Sabodi Archipelago St. Charos? Sengoku turned a blind eye to Luffy. Master Sengoku, you can try to see if you can keep me. Luffy pointed to himself. Don't be too arrogant, Straw Hat Luffy, no matter what your status is, you are worthy of talking to the Marshal. This is Marin Fanlu. Behind Sengoku, a Vice Admiral pointed at Luffy. Luffy blatantly insults Sengoku. The Marshal was damaged and their subordinates were duty-bound. What are you? I'm talking to Mr. Sengoku, which round will you interrupt? Luffy glanced at him coldly. Damn kid, watch me teach you a lesson. Vice Admiral clenched his fists. He is a Vice Admiral, but he has just been promoted. The strength is not comparable to the older generation of Vice Admiral. Although the strength is not much, but the heart is also proud. Luffy's words, it offended his sensitive nerves. I want to show, Ida, in front of Sengoku again. Immediately, as the first Marine, he rushed towards Thousand Sunny. Pity. Thousand Sunny above. The Green Bull just punched this weak Marine Vice Admiral to the ground. The whole person flew back in a panic. It hit the sea heavily. The sea was hit and set off great waves. Dignified Marine Vice Admiral. In the hands of the Green Bull, he couldn't bear a punch. It's not just that Vice Admiral has lost face, even the other Marines lowered their heads unconsciously. His face was a little ugly. Luffy went on to say, Marine Vice Admiral, is this the only strength? A bunch of people have a lot of money, and this Vice Admiral's position is bought here. Garbage, it should be in the trash can, VR. Vice Admiral, who was blown away, pointed at Luffy. He was so angry that he had a cerebral thrombosis and hemorrhage, and passed out on the spot. Although this person is Marine Vice Admiral who has just been promoted. But it wasn't bought as Luffy said, He's the real deal at Vice Admiral level. As a result, in front of the members of the Straw Hat Pirates, they couldn't resist even one move. Swipe, swipe, one after another looked at the green cow. Who is this guy? A soldier can be killed but not humiliated, let us be your opponent. Several unidentified Vice Admiral jumped out one after another. However, no matter how many of these people there are, can't stand the pair of iron fists of the Green Bull. Wherever you go, all Vice Admirals are no match. No wonder they were able to repel Akainu Kizaru and the others. Everyone on this ship is not easy. Sengoku looked at Thousand Sunny's boat and said to himself. On Thousand Sunny, besides the Green Bull and Luffy, he also saw an acquaintance. Pluton Rayleigh, Roger's deputy back then, Tricky. These people are not fuel-efficient lamps, go on like this. Their marine will be disgraced. But, the Green Bull is powerful, and a marine Vice Admiral. Gave them a deep impression. Just a moment, no one dared to step forward to seek abuse. The strength of the Straw Hat Pirates, powerful, is a bit outrageous. When all hope is lost, a legendary hero of Marine stepped forward. So there is no determination to challenge? In the Rocks era, do you know how our Marine survived? Hear this sentence. All the Vice Admirals turned their heads. I saw Garp step by step, walking in front of everyone. Vice Admiral Garp. Everyone looked at Garp in front of them, even if they were. Everyone's mood was surging, and they didn't look like they were defeated before. Garp now. It is regarded as a faith by Marine and as the object of worship by countless people. With him, the cohesion of the Marines will be enhanced like never before. Once Garp joins the battle, they will involuntarily and desperately display all their fighting power. Garp. It is the spiritual pillar of Marine. Just let me meet this Green Bull. Garp is now also very interested in the Straw Hat Pirates. My own grandson. This short period of half a year. The changes are really big, as a master who has cultivated the 6 forms to ultimate. The moment Garp launched Moonwalk, he was in front of the Green Bull in a blink of an eye. Raise your hand. A punch hit the Green Bull. The Green Bull folded his hands in front of his chest. But Garp's punch contained the power he had cultivated for decades. Punch afternoon. The Green Bull was almost overwhelmed. Master. He immediately realized that this was a master. The first move is to deflate yourself. This is something that Akainu has never done. This guy's power is even higher than that of Akainu. The Green Bull is ready to fight back as if it is facing a big enemy. But now, a hand was on his shoulder, and looking back, it was Luffy. Captain, leave this person to me, Luffy said. Look into Luffy's confident eyes. The green cow thought about it. All right. Finished. He immediately withdrew from the scene. Luffy raised his head and looked towards Garp. Grandpa, how are you doing these days? Did you sleep well? Luffy. Seeing Luffy, Garp thought of Ace, who was locked in the prison. His expression was a little depressed. Luffy, turn your back on the shore. Listen to Grandpa's words. Don't continue to be a pirate. I'm not going to be a lackey for those Marijoy guys, sir. Marine isn't for me. Luffy rebuffed. How can you join the Marine with me? Garp's brow softened. He doesn't want Ace's old path to reappear in front of Luffy. Old man, if you can beat me, why not let me go to the Marine with you? Luffy throws bricks to attract Jade. Even if you can beat me, don't expect me to go to Marine with you. Okay, that's what you said. Garp believed it, immediately. Garp is firing on all cylinders. It looked like he wouldn't give up until he caught Luffy. Luffy's closed eyes suddenly opened. Let Garp. Let's try how much strength he can explode with his current all-out efforts. Just at this moment, the system also makes sound. The task is released. Defeat Garp the Fist. After completing it, you can get S-level random draws twice. Almost the same as the previous Golden Lion. Garp also gave Luffy 2 draws. The old man is actually so valuable, he got rich. Luffy was pleasantly surprised. Next, you have to gnaw off this hard bone of the old man. Open black lens bracket 060 close black lens bracket punch out Garp, quiet Marineford. Although the task was triggered. But Luffy decided not to be careless. Who is this person in front of me? Garp the Fist. Marine hero, a character who used to chase Roger the One Piece all over the world. Roger once lamented that Garp and him are a once-in-a-century opponent, and he has a very high evaluation of him. In the end, even on his deathbed, he gave his only blood, Ace, to Garp. Although they are enemies, they are better than relatives and friends. More importantly, this Garp is also Luffy's old man. The two have the same blood. It seems that today I can't let you go. Garp said with a serious face. He stared at Luffy closely with his eyes, as if he was moving like a rabbit. Garp grabbed Luffy in an instant. Luffy also disappeared in place. The two hit each other like shooting stars. Boom. There was a violent explosion at the scene. The sound is deafening and undulating, one wave after another. Garp's expression changed. His pair of iron fists had beaten Luffy quite a few times. Not to mention Luffy. Back then, Roger of One Piece, 4 emperors of New World and other masters were also hammered by Garp. Because of this, as an old man, he knows how much Luffy weighs. Otherwise, Nor would it say 10 Luffys tied together, nor Golden Lion counterparts. But now it seems. Nothing is as it seems. Luffy him. Can you actually block the iron fist of your love? How can this be, old man? Your fist beats me so hospitable. Luffy said seriously. This is not a lie, whether it's Kizaru or Akainu. Luffy and them fist to fist, it's just an impact. Now here comes Garp. Garp punched, and Luffy's fist seemed to be pierced with thousands of tiny needles. The pain caused Luffy to frown slightly. The strength of my old man. Really ridiculously strong. If you don't wait in full force, I'm afraid that you might be caught by the old man at home and thrown into prison. Good boy, your strength is actually so strong. Garp looked at Luffy and admired. Before the Water Capital chapter, Garp met Luffy once, but at that time Luffy was so insignificant that he couldn't even lift his little finger. Considering that Luffy is Garp's grandson after all. It's also really bad for Garp to take Luffy back. That's why the Straw Hat Pirates were allowed to leave. Nowadays, how long has it been but 2 or 3 months? Luffy's strength has reached such a level, even in the face of their own do not fall behind. The Iron Fist of Love can handle it even more. Garp is impressed with Luffy. At the same time, Garp regretted it a little too. The 3 brothers Ace, Sabo, and Luffy have fully grown up. The 3 of them have the appearance of Admiral. How good would it be if the 3 of them were to sit in the positions of Heavenly Generals respectively? Even if it is dead, Jiaquan will happily laugh. Pity. This is not a fuel-efficient lamp for the 3 grandchildren. Well, Garp knew that too, if you don't work hard today. I am afraid that my grandson will not be able to stay. Garp is starting to gather momentum. Sensing Garp's sharpness, Luffy slowly closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and then opened his eyes sharply. Ding! A boundless red light flashed in his eyes, as if the Sharingan had been opened. The pattern swirled around in Luffy's eyes. God is delusional. Has been activated by Luffy at the moment. Both sides are ready to go. The sword is on the verge of breaking out. The Straw Hat Pirates held their breath. After seeing Garp, everyone was frightened. Although it is Luffy's elder, don't forget, it is Marine's legendary hero Garp the Fist. Kite. Will there be any surprises? Robin, Nami, and even Perona are a little worried. Marine here. Luffy is Garp's grandson, do you think he will use the almanac? An old woman walked up to Sengoku's side and asked. Xiaohei, what do you think? Sengoku turned to look at the old woman and asked. The old woman is the staff officer of the Crane. The Marine Iron Triangle is famous as Garp and Sengoku. Not to mention that we are all watching from the sidelines, Garp will not intentionally release water, and just now Luffy also said that if he wins, he will come to Marine with him. Garp will not hold back this time. Staff Officer Crane saw blood for a while, I think so. Sengoku and Staff Crane saw the same thing, around Garp and Crane. Other Vice Admiral stretched his neck and looked up towards the sea. This is the rare moment when Garp the Fist, the Marine hero, comes into play. A scene that is hard to find in a lifetime. Everyone was looking forward to it, looking at Garp expectantly. Seems to have absolute confidence in Garp, in their view. People with the status of Senior Garp have already started, and the Straw Hat Pirates are determined to win. Impel down. It is the new final destination of their group of evil superstars. Extreme hyphenation point moonwalk. As a top user of Marine 6 styles, in the hands of Garp, the 6 styles have been cultivated to the peak level. Garp put his foot on the air. The air unexpectedly collapsed into it. Compressed together, Garp came to Luffy at lightning speed in an instant. A punch hit Luffy hard in the face. False visions rolled in Luffy's eyes. His side. No matter how fast Garp was, he was dodged by Luffy. Luffy put his foot on the air. Extreme hyphenation point moonwalk. Repeating the trick, Luffy uses Garp's ultimate moonwalk and packs a punch of the same weight as Garp. Roaring toward Garp. Garp for a quick fix. The punch just now used a full 80% of its strength. Now Luffy used 80% of his strength to return all of them. What? Garp was shocked when he saw Luffy's speed and how he was stepping on the limit moonwalk. This brat, how did Marine 6 styles limit moves come into play? Could it be that his Marine 6 styles have been cultivated to the same level as himself? As a user of 6 styles, how can Garp fail to see that Luffy's 6 forms are not inferior to his own at all? To know, I have practiced these 6 styles for a whole day and a half of my life. That's how old Luffy is, 17 or 18 years old. Is this catching up with half my life's hard work? It looks like Kizaru back then. Garp's mouth fell open. Garp was too stunned to react. A fist with 80% strength. Luffy called Garp's head unceremoniously. Garp is in pain. The body was out of balance on the spot. The world was spinning in my mind, and my body flew out in a haphazard manner. Thump. Garp plunged headlong into the sea. Vice Admiral Garp. Over there on the warship. The Vice Admiral and elite Marines who were still looking forward to it also wanted to see Garp's means, and he was already chasing the heroic figure of the One Piece King Roger all over the world. Even they can imagine it. This generation's new superstar Luffy, who offered a reward of 1.2 billion Baileys, was pushed to the ground by Garp and called Grandpa. The results of it? Under Luffy's punch, disillusioned. Their most respected Garp, the Iron Fist hero with high hopes. The superstar who came from the first half of the Grand Line and offered a reward of 1.2 billion was actually overturned. The scene was stunned for a second. Immediately afterwards, a terrified sound erupted. Everyone was shocked from ear to ear. Dumbfounded, stupefied, shocked, and did not speak for a long time. On their faces, the words, "This is impossible," are almost pasted. Don't talk about them. Even Sengoku and Crane were shocked in place. It took a while for them to come back to their senses and look at each other. Did Garp release the water? Staff officer Yi hurriedly asked. She couldn't believe the situation. No, this Straw Hat Luffy relied on his own strength to punch Garp away. Sengoku clenched his fists and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. This moment, all 50 warships fell silent. Marineford was extremely quiet, even the sound of the wind could be heard clearly. Garp. He was thrown over by a punch. Gosh, is this real? Many people rubbed their eyes vigorously. Straw Hat Pirates here. See Garp being punched into the sea by Luffy. Robin, Nami and others who were still a little worried also smiled. Even when hanging, put it down. Is this the legendary hero of Marine? Why is this? Zoro was a little confused about everything inside. Even he has an illusion. Marine's legendary hero seems a bit weak. It's not that Vice Admiral Garp is weak, but that Luffy's punch just now is too strong. Although Yishao closed his eyes, his perception was far superior to that of ordinary people. Yes, even if I were to catch his fist, I'm afraid it would be difficult to catch it. Green Bull nodded. Luffy looked at Garp, who was thrown into the sea in the distance, and he carefully tasted the punch just now. The old man deserves to be the old man, if there is no false vision. I'm afraid the punch just now cost half his life. Garp. Really strong. Ha 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 ha, when the Straw Hat Pirates are proud and Marine is frustrated. 0. Seeking flowers. In the sea, there was a burst of arrogant and unruly smile. Then, Garp jumped out of the sea without a drop of water on his body, stepped on the moonwalk, and he floated in the sky out of thin air. With his hands behind his back, Garp was unscathed. Standing tall in the sky, condescending. Luffy has a meal. Good guy. His punch just now carried 80% of Garp's strength. Back then, Luffy literally slapped Garp on him. Now look at Garp unscathed. Luffy became more and more frightened. What kind of realm has the old man reached? Others can't see it. Can't Luffy see it? Under such a terrifying punch, he was unscathed. This defense is at least as good as the sky. He suddenly remembered the scene in Summit War where Garp asked Sengoku to hold him like this. If it explodes with all its strength, perhaps, really able to tear the mighty Akainu apart. Garp looked at Luffy with relief. Luffy, when did you cultivate Marine 6 styles to my level? Cultivated to your level? Luffy first, his Marine 6 styles is powerful, but it is far from Garp's achievement. Soon, he came back to his senses. What do you think of my 6 style, old man? Okay, very good, I am really relieved to see that you have grown up. Garp is naturally very happy that Luffy has such a strong strength, at least he can know that the beauty can bully him in the sea. I can also make trouble in Marine, as long as Luffy doesn't go too far. Garp, as an old man, can support Luffy on the other side of the ocean. 0. Although Garp used to let Luffy, Ace and others try the Iron Fist of Love. It can be boiled down to the bottom line. Blood is thicker than water. In addition, the older generation are intergenerational relatives. How could Garp not spoil his grandson? However, although Grandpa is happy for you, you have to stay here today. Marine 6 styles has also cultivated to the point where Grandpa is. From now on, I will not show mercy. Garp reminded Luffy. Finished. Garp was no longer as lazy as before. In his eyes, Luffy has become an enemy. Brush. There was a crackling sound in the air. Garp attacks Luffy. Luffy also expanded his delusions to ultimate. One big and one small, one old and one young. Use this sea as a battlefield. The two turned into a ray of light, colliding constantly, fists and shadows, sweeping everything, trembling, so intense that it seemed as if the sky was going to collapse. The battle has entered a white-hot stage. Garp activates all combat power. Luffy also displayed the top rubber fruits ability under the blessing of God's void vision. Every now and then Garp punches Luffy in the face. Every now and then Luffy kicks Garp hard in the stomach. Mutual exchange. Blood spurted from the corner of Luffy's mouth, and Garp was also injured physically. But the battle continues. The sound of fists colliding is comparable to drumming. The reverberation made the sea tremble, and the sound waves made their 7 orifices bleed, and countless Marines couldn't help covering their ears. Apparently a little unbearable. Good boy, it's really amazing. Garp wiped the corner of his bleeding mouth. Old man, come again. Luffy wiped the blood away from the corner of his mouth too. The two are like ferocious tigers and beasts out of the cage, and the primary goal of everything is to defeat each other. Vice Admiral Garp, we're here to help you. Some Vice Admirals were clever enough to try to punch Luffy in the back. But I haven't waited for these Vice Admirals to make a move. Gravity squeeze. Yishao stood in front of them, and under the pressure of gravity, they were directly squeezed into a cloud of blood mist, which dissipated in the air when the sea breeze blew. I didn't want to be your enemy, but what I hate the most in my life is sneak attack from behind. If you want to threaten the captain, ask me first. This group of guys actually wanted to sneak attack Luffy and Garp during the dust battle, and he was a little angry when he smiled. Before. Those will go less than a round with the Green Bulls. Now, in front of Yishao, they were instantly killed again. The Straw Hat Pirates actually have masters. Many people stared at the one who killed 4 or 5 Vice Admirals in one go with a smile and solemnly said, I thought Luffy, Rayleigh, and Green Bull were top players. But they were mistaken. This smile actually has the ability to kill Vice Admiral in one hit. The Straw Hat Pirates. What kind of dark force gathered on the ship? Both Sengoku and Tsuru were startled. I'm afraid that if they want to leave, none of my 50 warships will be able to stop them. Akainu and Kizaru, they deserve to lose. What? 061. The immortal being god's virtual vision is used in turn, and Marine is scared out of his wits. Luffy and Garp played hard for 3 hours, period. Garp was out of breath, and his expression was uncertain. Did not expect. I can't even take down Luffy, a stinky boy. For 3 hours straight, Garp was also slightly injured. For Luffy's strength, Garp was both happy and unwilling. Glad he has such strength. Disappointed because he didn't play for Marine. Luffy here. He's more serious than Garp. I was so tired that it was extremely difficult to even raise my arms. He received a few punches from Garp heavily. These few punches come down. If it were an ordinary person, I am afraid that he would have fallen to the ground long ago. Thanks also to Luffy being a rubber fruit user, in addition to being able to be big or small. Strong vitality is also the advantage of rubber fruit. But now, even with rubber fruit, Luffy can't stand it anymore. Luffy, if you continue to fight, you will definitely lose. Fulfill your promise and go back to Marine with me. Garp looked at Luffy, who was covered in bruises, although he couldn't bear it, but in order to let him join Marine. Garp can't care about this injury. Old man, you are indeed very strong, but if you give me a little more time, even you and I can surpass you. Luffy felt the distance between himself and Garp. To be honest, compared to Garp, he had to admit. There is still a long gap. After all, these 60 or 70 years of cultivation background are here. It's far from being able to catch up with me in a month and a half. Luffy, come on Marine, you're doomed now. Garp looked at Luffy and said earnestly. Besides, with the old man here, everything you did before can be written off, and I can guarantee that you and your crew will not be implicated because of your identity. As Garp is now, let alone a write-off, it's okay to have Luffy as backup to Marine Admiral's position. Luffy now. How strong is the strength? Garp, Sengoku, Crane, and Marineford's soldiers on 5,000 warships all saw it clearly. However, Garp's idea is good. 837. Pity. Luffy, who has become a pirate and recruited a Smile, Green Bull and other crew members, will never agree. Notice. His current goal, but defeating the old man will give you 2 chances to draw S-level prizes. Luffy said calmly. Old man, are you so sure you can capture me? Luffy, can you still fight? Garp asked. How do you know if you don't try? Luffy chuckled. Immediately afterwards, an extra bean appeared in his hand. Garp didn't know the little bean, but the Straw Hat Pirates know everything. Fairy beans. When the crew members practiced collectively, they ate fairy beans to satisfy their hunger. Vaguely remember, this little bean eats 1 grain, and there is no need to eat for 10 days. And it also has the effect of quickly restoring the physical strength of the crew. Then, all the crew members who had eaten the fairy beans were all amazed and puzzled by it. How could this little bean have such great power? Luffy put the fairy beans into his mouth, gulped them down and swallowed them directly. Instantly a force in the abdomen bleeds all over Luffy. The wounds and exhaustion on Luffy's body are healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a blink of an eye, Luffy is back to his prime once again. Just this second, Luffy was startled again. He touched his eyes with one hand. He touched it several times up and down, left, right, and left. He raised his head abruptly. I couldn't believe it. This is not true, is it? Eye fatigue caused by delusional vision is gone. This moment, Luffy couldn't even believe his eyes. To know. Void vision is an ability that consumes a lot of eye fatigue. If you use too much, your eyes will go blind. Luffy and Garp fought for over 3 hours. Hit it again, but something is really going to happen. Nowadays, a single celestial being solved the fatigue of his delusional vision. How does this not shock Luffy? Bean recovery ability Luffy knows. But he never imagined that even the fatigue caused by vain vision can be recovered. Good guy. Luffy is dumbfounded, but soon, he rejoiced again. Unexpectedly discovered the synergy between the 2 abilities. I have 1,000,000 fairy beans. Luffy no longer has to worry about the dangers of delusions. As long as no one can kill him in seconds, Luffy now has 1,000,000 lives. And, as far as the current own strength is concerned. There should be no one in this world who can kill himself in one move. The corners of Luffy's mouth raised, and a confident smile appeared on his face. Certainly. Fairy beans can't heal clothes, Luffy's clothes are tattered, and he still looks so messed up. Luffy's eyes became confident. Old man, come again. Seeing that Luffy's momentum began to change, Garp's expression changed. Why does Luffy still have strength? It shouldn't be. He had already been consumed by himself before, but this moment when Luffy attacked. Garp was shocked. How did Luffy regain his strength? Feel the sharpness on the fist, and Luffy's fierce and desperate offense. Garp's mouth can barely close. All of a sudden, he was pinned down by Luffy instead. Garp and Luffy played for more than 3 hours, and it was impossible to say that they were not tired. Just like fighting a boss, I spent a lot of effort to solve the boss. Only found out in the end, this is just a clone of boss. When I am exhausted, the boss in his heyday took action himself versus himself in a semi-disabled state. How to fight this? I hit you. Garp's heart was surging. What kind of secret is hidden in this grandson of himself? And, what was that thing he ate just now? Why is stamina recovered by a large margin? Garp finds Luffy more and more strange, his strength, his trump card. His miraculous means, as well as the ability to copy others and so on. So much that even Garp doubted life had come to life. Next, the two sides fought again for a full 3 hours. Garp and Luffy have lost both. Luffy couldn't help but sigh with emotion. I spent 2 lives to liver Garp. The result is still no liver. But, Luffy has less of everything but more jelly beans. Once again, he ate a fairy bean. Luffy's strength is rising steadily. This is Luffy's 3rd life. Full blast. Garp was dumbfounded again, transfixed. Is Luffy cheating? How does he have unlimited stamina? Another 3 hours passed. Finally, the battle is over. Thump, Marine's hero, Garp the Fist, is the one who is expected by countless people. After spending a full 9 hours, fighting him for 9 full hours, this hard bone was finally gnawed down by Luffy. Luffy is also extremely exhausted mentally. He raised his head, panting heavily. Breathing makes the body rise and fall. The other side. Garp was covered in cuts and bruises, with Luffy's fist marks all over his body. Fell to the ground, gasping for breath. I lost. Garp spoke with difficulty. In his current state, it is already very difficult to vent his anger. Old man, you are too difficult to chew, Luffy sighed. Travel expenses. I am no longer your opponent. This time you go, I will not stop you anymore. Garp said, dying. The exhausted could not be more exhausted. Luffy watched all this with mixed feelings. It took 3 lives to eat Garp. Although it won the result, it was a bit opportunistic. Ding, Manchi host will get 2 chances of level 5 lottery draws after completing the chores. The system sends out a sound at this moment. Listen to the sound of the system. Luffy breathed a sigh of relief. At least, all he wants is this result. Garp. Sengoku saw the end of the battle. He and Suru were surprised. Luffy actually beat Garp. That's not someone else. That's Garp the Fist, the legendary hero of the Marine. The waves behind the Yangtze River drive the waves ahead. Is one generation stronger than the previous generation? Victory and Crane looked at Luffy complicatedly, thinking about Luffy's age now. Coupled with this powerful strength, it will definitely become a major obstacle to their Marine in the future. Is the age of the rocks coming again? Vice Admiral Garp. After the other Vice Admirals saw Garp lose, the Optimus Prime in their hearts finally collapsed, and they couldn't believe it. But the deal is done. Watching the solid back fall to the ground. This has become an indisputable matter. It is imperative. It would be wise to bring back Vice Admiral Garp. What if Luffy threatens Marine with a dying Garp? The current Marine soldiers don't know the relationship between Luffy and Garp. A total of 5 Vice Admirals. The vigilant ones lay on the ground exhausted, glanced at Luffy, and quickly picked up Garp. Go back in the direction of Sengoku. Luffy ate another fairy bean. Restored all stamina. Luffy also took a weary breath, looked at Sengoku and said, Master Sengoku, do you want to keep us? Kizaru and Akainu were not there, and Garp was seriously injured by Luffy. Only Sengoku and Suru, the Iron Triangle and a gang of Vice Admiral are left with combat power. Even if Sengoku and Crane are strong, Luffy doesn't think they'll be able to keep themselves with a gang of Vice Admiral either. Sengoku looked at Luffy complicatedly. He naturally knew the strength of these top masters on Luffy's boat. Plus Garp lost to Luffy again. The morale of the army is slack. Even those Vice Admirals don't have the determination to continue fighting. Could it be? I can only watch helplessly. The gang in front of you. Did the pirate slip away from under his nose? This seem. There is only this option. Straw Hat Boy, you are very strong, but I really didn't expect that Garp is not your opponent. Sengoku said. That's why the old man let the water go. I'm just opportunistic. Luffy told the truth. Garp really let the water go, and Luffy ate 3 jelly beans. Drag Garp to death with 3 lives. If there is no void vision, if there is no fairy beans. Luffy will definitely not fight Marine rashly today. Garp, Sengoku, Crane, 50 warships, more than 30 vice admirals, and 30,000 elite marines. What a strong lineup. Water, however. Sengoku didn't take it seriously, he couldn't tell if Garp was releasing water. I haven't seen you for over 10 years. Has even Garp's grandson grown up to this point? Watching the rise of the new generation, Sengoku suddenly felt old. Seeing Luffy give himself a step, Sengoku said, "Since that's the case, let's let go of today's matter. You guys leave here. Next time we meet, I will definitely not show mercy." All warships, all disperse, with Sengoku's order. All the warships scattered to give Thousand Sunny a way out. Luffy, could it be a conspiracy? Usopp walked to Luffy's side and asked cautiously. No, let's just leave, Marine won't stop us. Of course Luffy knew. Sengoku was not willing to let himself and others leave the scene at all. But he also saw his own strength. I even met Admiral-level characters like Rayleigh, Green Bull, and Hu Guo. So many powerful people come together. Sengoku got a headache before it was too late. If you really want to keep the people in your own ship here, all Marines at this scene must be buried with them. The price is simply too high. This is Luffy's confidence, and also the reason why Sengoku is afraid. They can't wait to get out of here now. How could it be possible to set a trap? Wait a minute. Before leaving, Luffy asked everyone to wait. He turns around. Take a leap. Come to Sengoku's warship. Luffy suddenly stepped on the warship, and everyone on the warship was ready. Now, Luffy is a distance from Sengoku, only 10 steps away. Overnight, Luffy will be able to attack Sengoku. Straw Hat Boy, what is your daughter-in-law doing? This is our marine warship, not a place for you to run amok. Protect the marshal, protect the marshal. Although many people are afraid of Luffy, but Luffy has bullied them all over their heads. These vice admirals decided to fight back against death. Sengoku also frowned, his eyes fixed on Luffy who was 10 steps away. Why, don't you want to go? Suppressing his surprise, Sengoku said angrily. Luffy ignored Sengoku. Step aside. He looked at the vice admirals standing in front of him and shouted. More than 30 vice admirals were frightened by Luffy's evil spirit. Subconsciously, he took a few steps back, unconsciously making way for Luffy. Luffy walked step by step from the crowd to Garp, who was seriously injured and dying. Looking at Garp, Luffy sighed, although he is a time traveler. But after all, Garp is one of the few relatives in this world who still care about him. Just now when fighting, although Garp shouted in name that he would not release water. In fact, it's time to show mercy, he was seriously injured. Luffy is duty-bound. Take out the fairy beans and feed them to Garp. Luffy, what do you want to do with Vice Admiral Garp? A Vice Admiral looked horrified, want to stop Luffy. Roll. Luffy's eyes are extremely domineering, and the Conqueror's Haki is released from his body. Peeved, this Vice Admiral's heart trembled, and a bright red spit out of his mouth. Then he took a few steps back and fell unconscious on the ground with a plop. The people around were startled. Luffy had badly injured Vice Admiral with a single glare. Is he a monster? This moment, no one dared to touch Luffy's brow anymore. Poor Marine now. Luffy was already standing in front of them, and they didn't dare to make a move yet. Watching from afar, don't dare to approach, after feeding the jelly beans to Garp. Luffy got up 1.3 body. Old man, don't chase me after you recover. Luffy was really worried that Garp would come after him after he healed. After feeding the fairy beans, he left here. Go, return to Sabaody land. Luffy waved his hand. Get out of here in Thousand Sunny. At the same time, on the warship, Garp, who was seriously injured, also gradually recovered. He squeezed his fist and felt the abundant strength in his body. Am I seriously injured? Why are you so alive now? Not only Garp, but the surrounding Vice Admiral, Sengoku and others were also shocked when they saw the seriously injured Garp jump up suddenly. Garp learned after asking. Luffy went to the meeting alone and came to the warship. Everyone on the warship dared not fight back. Then Luffy fed himself a bean, and he hurried out of here. Beans? Garp was puzzled at first, then he seemed to remember something. His eyes widened. Garp said why Luffy regained his fighting power repeatedly. Could it be the bean? Garp felt the power, the bursting fist. Yes, it must be this bean. This brat is actually cheating and playing tricks. Garp raged. But soon, he smiled knowingly again. Luffy actually went to the meeting alone, set foot on their warship, and then gave himself such a precious bean in full view. This kid, don't you be so kind to me, Mr. Zoo, certainly. Garp is happy today. At least it can be proven. Luffy still respects himself as an elder. But Sengoku was not happy. Without him, more than 30 Vice Admirals were frightened by a superstar newcomer. The opponent is bullying to the head, still dare not fight back. Sengoku squeezed one hand tightly. They Marine, is that all? Sengoku closed his eyes in pain. 062. Famous in the world and a sensation in the sea, Summit War is coming. The next day, Sabodi Archipelago Superstar New vs Marine 2 Admiral News. It spread across the entire sea in an instant. The local news agency withdrew from the 3 major events in a row. Open black lens bracket. The Straw Hat Pirates killed the Celestial Dragon Street Charos, causing Marijoy to be furious, and dispatched 2 admirals to encircle and suppress Sabodi Archipelago's superstars. Close black lens bracket. Supernova vs the 2 Marine Admirals. The battle is imminent. Close black lens bracket. Shocked, the 2 admirals were all defeated. The Straw Hat Pirates chased Admiral to Marineford, causing the Marine Marshal to come forward in person. Although this world newspaper is the main way to disseminate information, but in front of the seagulls that are making rapid progress, newspapers travel no slower than those mailed. These newspapers spread out from the center of Sabodi Archipelago. Just one night, this Sabodi Archipelago Celestial Dragons event caused a sensation in the whole sea. The first half of Grand Line and the second half of New World. There are newspapers strewn everywhere. Water capital. When they learned that Chao Xingxin had killed the Celestial Dragons, many people looked at Chao Xingxin with sneering eyes even though they were relieved. This group of Chao Xingxin, who got impatient, actually dared to attack the Celestial Dragons. That's right, Celestial Dragons are the nobles of the world. Aren't they afraid of offending those old fellows of Marijoy? It is said that the people at Marijoy were so furious that they ordered Marine to send Admiral to destroy Liao. Dressrosa. When it was learned that Admiral was on the move and was about to encircle Chao Xingxin. A large number of people think that Chao Xingxin may be over like this. It's over. These superstar newcomers this year are all over. What masters can there be in the first half of the Grand Line? Marine Admiral is furious, and these rotten fish and rotten shrimps will be sanctioned by Admirals soon. A group of superstars who don't know the heights of the sky and the depths of the earth. Is Celestial Dragons also an existence they can provoke? When the news of Admiral's loss to Straw Hat Luffy spread, everyone looked at today's newspaper in astonishment. What? Admiral lost? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Let's not talk about the new strength of this group of superstars. They are not Admiral's opponents in 2008, and, this time, they reported that they were dispatched by 2 admirals. This newspaper must have lied about military information. Not necessarily. Don't you know that there is one of the strongest superstars in this year's Superstars? Kill the Golden Lion, sink the Enies lobby, and get a reward of 1.2 billion from the Straw Hat Pirates Luffy. Among the 2 admirals, Akainu was also there, and he was defeated by Straw Hat Luffy? Is Straw Hat Luffy so strong? Not only that, but he also chased Admiral to Marineford. Thanks to the Marshal, he saved the 2 admirals. Is this Straw Hat Luffy so strong? This Akainu's reputation has been discredited. He is so strong that he is actually chased by pirates. Ha ha ha, the invincible Akainu, you have today. Newspapers are divided into 3 batches, sent to various parts of the world for 3 time periods respectively. Just one day. Anyone who receives a newspaper is a roller coaster ride. When I heard that Chao Xingxin killed the Celestial Dragons in the morning, many people sneered. This group of Chao Xingxin is done. Celestial Dragons also dared to provoke. Light the lantern in the toilet. Court death, noon. The news of the confrontation between Chao Xingxin and the 2 admirals came over. Watching the superstar rookies are about to be brutalized by Admiral. Many people are waiting to see a good show, indeed. Just as everyone imagined, what kind of hands can the Grand Line have in the first half? This is the first time the enemy I encountered was Admiral, and there were still 2 of them. Superstar's new wings can't escape, but when everyone thinks so. In the afternoon, the results are out. This moment. Anyone who saw the newspaper was shocked. Open black lens bracket shocked. Both admirals lost. Close black lens bracket. All defeated. See these 4 words. Many people who sneered at the Chaoxing newcomers stared wide-eyed. Admiral lost. And there are 2 admirals. Is this real? FK. That's Marine Admiral. Many people were dumbfounded and froze in place for a long while without saying a word. These guys are superstars. They were able to win the battle against the 2 Marine Admirals? This is really something they didn't expect. All of a sudden. Countless people want to find the truth of the matter. Reporting agencies have also captured the curiosity of the people who like to explore the truth. Hastily opened another space for the newspaper. All superstars are about to be wiped out by Marine. At the critical moment, Luffy, the captain of the Straw Hat Pirates, stepped forward to turn the tide and bring the war back from the brink of death, and hit hard 2 admirals. Read the contents of the newspaper. At this time, countless people were shocked from ear to ear by Luffy's methods. Straw Hat Luffy turned the tide. Relying on tough means, they defeated Admiral, 2 members of Marine, in a row. One of them is Admiral Akainu, who has made countless pirates fearful. A stone stirs up 1,000 waves. A large number of people began to pay attention to the new leader of the superstar, the man who was offered a reward of 1.2 billion by Marine. To be honest, although Luffy was offered a reward of 1.2 billion, it's bluffing to stand up. They can almost catch up with those mates from New World. But don't forget, who is the Emperor's deputy? Who is Luffy? The former is the vice captain of 4 emperors, and the latter is just a superstar rookie. Comparing Chao Xingxin to Huang Fu, they are not even worthy to lift Huang Fu's shoes now. And because of this, even if Luffy is offered a bounty of 1.2 billion, many people still sneered. I think these superstar novels are grandstanding. Even at most, it's just one of the topics of chatting for after-dinner refreshments. Once said, always makes people laugh, but after today, no one dared to roar with laughter. More than a dozen vice admirals, 20 warships, 30 pacifists, and tens of thousands of elite marines. Such a powerful force was gnawed down by the Straw Hat Pirates. Who dares to laugh at them? Just imagine, facing such combat power. Ordinary pirates don't pee their pants with fear, it's already very good. What's more, lead this army, or the famous Akainu and Kizaru. The results of it, when the two admirals faced the superstar Shin who was offering a bounty of 1.2 billion. Successive defeats. Akainu and Kizaru, all lost to Luffy. Not only defeated them, but also chased Akainu and scolded them from Sabaody Archipelago to Marineford. Positively Admiral. They were actually sent to Marineford by Chowshingshin, which is their marine lair. Marine's face, Admiral's face are all lost. It's really outrageous. His mother took the outrageous home, the outrageous home. This is incredible, this. Today, there was an uproar everywhere. No doubt, Luffy's fame stepped on Marine Admiral they soared. A large number of people began to reassess the situation. Get to know the Straw Hat Pirates well, and their captain, Luffy. But just as everyone thought, it's time to end here. The final news is out again. The Straw Hat Pirates chase Akainu Kizaru to Marineford, where they encounter the local Marshal Sengoku. The two sides drew their swords at each other when they disagreed. Even the army led by Marshal Sengoku himself can't help the Straw Hat Pirates. Even the legendary hero Garp the Fist lost to Straw Hat Luffy. If the previous defeat of Akainu and Kizaru was a pre-dinner snack, then this last Garp lost. It's like dropping a depth charge in the deep sea. Garp though retreated behind the scenes for many years. After becoming Vice Admiral, there is no ambition to make progress. But the illustrious reputation he achieved on the sea is still resounding in this sea to this day. He is the spiritual pillar of Marine and the foundation stone of Marine. In a way, Roger's status among pirates is the same as Garp's status among Marines. Whenever you talk about One Piece Roger, you will think of Garp the Fist chasing Roger all over the world. Nowadays, even Garp the Fist, the founding stone of Marine, failed. Lost to Straw Hat Luffy. What the hell? Is this Straw Hat Luffy a pervert? No, pervert is not enough to describe him. He is an evildoer, a proper evildoer. Garp can be eaten by him. Well, what is there that he can't do? Is this Straw Hat Luffy really that strong? Got the last breaking news. The sea was almost turned upside down. The daughter country of Nine Snake Island. The queen of a country, Hancock, was sitting on a chair, with her slender legs curled up, and her beautiful long hair fluttering in the wind. Holding a newspaper in her hand, with bright eyes and white teeth, she looks dignifiedly at the news above. Did Garp also lose to this Chowshingshin? This Chowshingshin? So strong. Kingdom Palace of Dressrosa. Brother Ming, dressed as a flamingo, saw the news in today's newspaper. He was all over it. Then the eyebrows on the sunglasses frowned. It's really unimaginable that such a big thing happened outside. In a castle full of years. The perimeter of the castle. It's a group of monkeys with swords in their hands. A man with a long sword on his back stood at the gate of the castle. He was staring at the contents of the newspaper like an eagle. Straw Hat Luffy, losing streak to Admiral, Garp the Fist also lost. Watching a series of breaking news. Although it is unbelievable, the middle-aged man with the black knife on his back is very indifferent. I saw him silently talking to himself. Straw Hat Luffy, Straw Hat Luffy. New World. The Whitebeard Pirates, Gu la la la. You can tell it's Whitebeard just by the laugh. Whitebeard grabbed the newspaper and stared intently at Luffy's photo on it. I sent Golden Lion to impel down a while ago, and now I have lost 2 players in a row to Marine Admiral. Even Garp's fame in this life is ruined by this superstar newcomer, Hands. Speaking of which, Whitebeard stroked his chin suddenly, as if thinking about something. Father, you don't mean to. When seeing Whitebeard staring at Luffy and thinking constantly, Marco, Josie, Yizang and others beside him had a bad feeling. Next second, Whitebeard also really confirmed their thoughts. Whoever of you goes to the first half of the Grand Line, I want to take this person as my son. This. Everyone was speechless for a while. New World. Red Hair Pirates. Boss, Luffy's newspaper is here again. Usopp hurried to Shanks with the newspaper. When Shanks sees what Luffy has done in Sabaody Archipelago in one go, he was surprised. I thought it was for Luffy and the others. It was a rub, a huge difficulty. Unexpectedly, Luffy not only did not evade, but even faced the difficulties. Overturned the mountains built by Marine. This Luffy, it's amazing. Beckman had a cigarette in his mouth and puffed out the smoke ring. When he saw that both Admiral and Garp the Fist were defeated, he was surprised. This record is too luxurious. Lackey, who was gnawing on the chicken leg, came up to him and praised him without hesitation. 093 Lackey is like opening the ranking record, and there is a page of MVP on it. Suddenly I want to meet Luffy. Redhead Shanks is also thrilled by what Luffy has done. He looked up, kind of looking forward to seeing Luffy next. Now, the whole sea is in a commotion because of what happened to Luffy this time. Break into Marineford. Marines dare not fart. Desperately let the Straw Hat Pirates return. Watching Marine deflate. Many pirates are secretly proud, and have even begun to worship the Straw Hat Pirates. And Marine also lived up to the high expectations. Because of this incident, it caused them a great loss of face and no place to stand. Luffy's 1.2 billion bounty increased to 2 billion in an instant. 2 billion. Now Luffy, but it didn't reach the New World at all. He's just a proper first half Grand Line pirate. 2 billion rewards are on his body. It can be seen how terrifying his current influence is. Not just Luffy. Members of the Straw Hat Pirates who participated in the Celestial Dragons event. Everyone's bounty has been improved. Zoro offered a reward of 200 million, and Sanji offered a reward of 100 million. The rewards offered by Nami, Robin, Usopp and others have also increased a lot. Green Bull, laughing is the first time that Marine has offered a 5 bounty. All of a sudden, everyone has a reward. The comprehensive amount has risen sharply. Rayleigh went back to Hermitage again, considering that more things are worse than less things. Marine also didn't put a bounty on Rayleigh, it's like selling him face. Certainly, no matter how noisy the outside world is. Even the crew danced for joy at the increased bounty. But as a party, Luffy has been practicing in his room. Why practice hard? After this time with Garp, Luffy also knows that there is still a long way to go before them. Never. Every time it's like playing Garp this time, Shadow and Shenshu pile up. The strength must be your own, and only then will you have confidence. And, after the Sabaody Archipelago Celestial Dragons event, a war that will change the pattern of the sea and become a historic turning point is coming. This war is known as the Feast of Dragons. He assembled New World Super First Line Masters. The epic collision between Marine, the strongest force in the sea, and 4 Emperors Whitebeard, the strongest pirate group in New World. Both parties gather at Marineford. The sky was dark and the sun and the moon were dark. As a traverser, Luffy can't miss this feast no matter what. Good. The Feast of Dragons is the Summit War. Summit War, a historic scene that changed the Age of Discovery. Coming soon. Open black lens bracket 063 close black lens bracket a reward of 2 billion, the 5th Emperor in the first half of the Grand Line. Since returning to Sabaody Archipelago from Marineford last time, their entire pirate group has done such a big thing. It became famous all over the world and caused a sensation in the world. When the whole Straw Hat Pirates were overjoyed because of the increase in the bounty. Everyone found out, Luffy hasn't stepped out of the door for 10 days. 10 days. All the crew members were puzzled for a while. What's wrong with Luffy? Usopp sneaked a peek out the window with Chopper's 2 treasures. Their bizarre discovery. For 10 days, Luffy has been practicing hard. The news reached the ears of Zoro, Sanji and others. Immediately let them wake up one after another. Zoro's reward has been raised to 200 million, and Sanji's reward has been raised to 100 million. The two of them were really complacent because of the increase in the reward. Luffy has already calmed down, continued to work hard to move forward. This made them both extremely ashamed. Notice, Luffy's current bounty has been raised by Marine to 2 billion Baileys. That's a full 2 billion Baileys, compared to them. It is a gap of 10 times and 20 times, almost halfway through the 4 Emperors' ranks. For such a great honor, it stands to reason that Luffy should throw a big banquet and throw a big banquet. I can't wait to spread it all over the sea and let everyone know it. The results of it, don't hear what's going on outside the window. Keep working hard and practicing hard. Luffy was unimpressed. Just do what you have to do, as always, mediocrity. Look at yourself. I am complacent and complacent after only improving so much. The future achievements can be imagined. Compare Luffy's mentality. Both Zoro and Sanji were ashamed, standing so high. But still has such a humble heart. Neither arrogant nor impetuous, neither humble nor overbearing. No wonder Luffy's strength is so strong, no wonder Luffy's strength improves so fast. This made both of them admire. Unconsciously, they were also moved by Luffy's diligence. Leave all joy behind, he also sneaked into his room. There is no limit to learning, and diligence is the last word. Let alone these two people. Even Robin, Nami, and Usopp discovered that Luffy was actually practicing with a calm mind. They were also mobilized. Don't hurry up, really about to be thrown off by Luffy. The whole ship, thriving from the start, everyone is in high spirits. Now it's quiet again, into a calm, in subtle ways. Unknowingly, Luffy has inspired the cultivation mentality of the crew members. Looking at the diligent members of the Straw Hat Pirates in front of him, Green Bull said with emotion, "This is really different from those ordinary pirate groups. The main thing is that Luffy is leading, don't you see? Everyone is motivated because of Luffy's hard work." Said calmly with a smile, "This captain is really not an ordinary person." Green Cow rode. Yeah, at such a young age, you actually have such a mentality, neither arrogant nor impetuous, nor humble nor overbearing. Among the people I have met, there is no one who can reach the realm of Luffy, who is powerful, peaceful, and wealth cannot be touched. His heart, fame and fortune cannot change his ambition. Yishao has a very high evaluation of Luffy, just when Green Bull and Yishao were admiring Luffy's behavior. A voice of doubt came from the deck. Huh, what about Nami, Robin and the others? Green Bull and Yishao looked up, but seeing Luffy walk out of the room in doubt, he scratched his head. I found that there are only 2 people on the Thousand Sunny, Green Bull and Yishao. Where are the others? In recent days, Thousand Sunny is so lively. Why is it suddenly deserted now? They went back to practice. He smiled and said to Luffy. Practice. Luffy was immediately happy, and he continued to say without knowing the truth. With their recent lively atmosphere, can you immerse yourself in cultivation? Captain, it seems that you still don't know the influence you bring to these crew members. The Green Bull looked at Luffy's puzzled eyes and said. Luffy is scratching his head at Green Bull's words. What influence do I bring to them? What influence do I have? Forget it, don't care about them. Is there anything going on in the sea recently? Luffy then asked the 2 of them, after 10 days. Luffy has been practicing in the room. He was preparing for the Summit War. Otherwise, why are you practicing so hard? The role of this top talent can be great. Just 10 days. Luffy's strength is advancing by leaps and bounds, and it's like riding a roller coaster. But a long time of practice. So much so that Luffy didn't have time to pay attention to the news that broke out on the sea in the past 10 days. The Green Bull and Yishao looked at each other. Immediately afterwards, Green Bull handed all the recent newspapers to Luffy. Luffy took these newspapers, and he wanted to see if there was any news he cared about. However, I don't know if I don't read it, under this look. Luffy's entire face turned black. Open black lens bracket. Straw Hat Pirates defeat Marine. Close black lens bracket. Supernova Luffy crushes Admiral. Open black lens bracket. Marine legendary hero Garp the Fist lost to Supernova Luffy. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Marshal Sengoku can't do anything to the Supernova, let them leave Marineford. Close black lens bracket. Marijoy asked the teacher to blame. Because of the Supernova's agitation, Marshal Sengoku took the blame. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. From now on, the 5th Emperor on the sea is born. This is the 5th Emperor from the first half of the Grand Line. Close black lens bracket. Above this newspaper, all are touting the deeds of their Straw Hat Pirates. There is shock, admiration, flattery, and even vaguely describing the Straw Hat Pirates as the 5th Emperor of the New World. This moment, although Luffy is only in the first half of the Grand Line. But his fame, it is not weaker than any pirate group in New World. Snapped. Luffy slapped the newspapers, and he stood up straight from the spot. Is it over? It's been 10 days. Could it be that our enthusiasm hasn't dissipated? Actually, Luffy knows. The reason why the news agency is crazy about the recent major events in the sea. The reason is because of the market. What residents and pirates like to pay attention to the most is these big events that broke out recently. Because they love attention, newspapers satisfies their appetite. But the problem is, it's been 10 days, can't the curiosity of you people dissipate? No wonder these people are curious, it's really what Luffy did this time that broke the sky. Killed the celestial dragons, repelled the 2 admirals, and chased them to Marineford. Marshal Sengoku couldn't do anything to Luffy. Almost everyone who reads the newspaper is fresh. The freshness of this news, let alone 10 days, even if you give her 100 days, a year. I'm afraid it will be difficult to dissipate, it's like Summit War. Even after 2 years, it has become a topic that countless people talk about. Luffy can't control the people's curiosity, but this report is a bit too exaggerated. Depicting Luffy almost at the same level as the 4 emperors, each of the pirates under his command is extremely vicious. Luffy looked at the Green Bull and smiled, are these 2 people extremely vicious? In contrast, Nami, Robin et al., it looks like a fairy, like a goddess descending to earth. You told me they were vicious? It's outrageous. Luffy continued to flip through the 10 days worth of newspapers. They are all flattering their Straw Hat Pirates and making them superior. Luffy couldn't be more clear, the higher you stand, the harder you fall. The more your enemies hold you high, the more careful you have to be. Crisis. Often after disarming. No wonder everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates was grinning from ear to ear recently. It seems that these newspapers take the lead, that's all. It's all happened, it's useless to stop it, certainly. These are secondary. The most important is, Luffy wanted to see if there was any news about the Summit War. As a result, he read all the newspapers with a dark face, all about himself and the Straw Hat Pirates, occupying most of the country. There was no news of Summit War at all. No wonder Luffy's face was black all the time. Everything I don't want to see is above, nothing to see. Well, this newspaper is useless at all. Luffy kind of misses the days of cell phones. It would be nice if I had a mobile phone, so I can do everything in the world without leaving home. Huh? Just when Luffy was lamenting the newspaper's incompetence. Luffy snorted lightly. Then his eyes lit up. Glance at the information in the last mosquito column of this newspaper. Needless to say, the mosquito bar. The small one cannot be smaller. But in this small column, there is hidden heavy information. Marine issued a military order to call elite Marines from all over the world to gather in Marineford. Calling Marines from around the world? The moment I saw the news. Luffy's eyes became serious, and he stared closely at the contents of the mosquito trap. Basically call the Marines, gather Marineford. What does this mean? Sengoku definitely doesn't call in Marine troops for no reason. Definitely another plan. Certainly. Ordinary people can see the clues to these small actions of Marine. Not to mention, the world is full of news about Luffy right now. No one cares about this Marine's black box operation. Sengoku will be wrong and wrong. Just use Luffy to attract the attention of the world, so as to lay the groundwork for their Marine. Brightly repair the plank road and darken Chenkang. Luffy said how Sengoku gave himself a high reward of 2 billion for no reason. Feelings are behind this. There is such a plot. Luffy secretly thought that the time he traveled through was too coincidental. It happened to be in the Water City chapter. If it had been earlier, in Alabasta, Luffy would have deducted Ace without saying a word. Nothing can make Ace go after Blackbeard. Pity, it's too late. Certainly. If Luffy intercepts the Ace, wouldn't there be no such sensational summit war? Everything is preordained. Actually, when leaving the capital of water, Luffy has been keeping an eye on the Blackbeard side of things. Pity. Blackbeard is too secretive to do the truth. Or he was too secretive. Even grab an Ace, give it to Marine, and exchange for Shichibukai's title. Hardly watertight. Not a single bit of news spread out. This Blackbeard can really bear. Forcibly endured for nearly 30 years. Thinking of Blackbeard's status in the future, a reward of 2.2 billion is offered for New World's newly promoted 4 Emperors, dual fruit ability users, and first-class top masters. This is also worthy of Blackbeard's patience for so long. You're welcome. If it is really developed according to the storyline in the original book, Blackbeard will definitely be a natural enemy of Luffy in the future. Most likely after the Wano Kuni section, it's Blackbeard's turn. Straw Hat Pirates versus 4 Emperors Blackbeard Pirates. But, it's a pity. The current Luffy is no longer the stunned young man in the original book. Blackbeard was indeed tolerant enough, also strong enough. It is also a dark fruit ability user, but he met the Straw Hat Pirates who are now in full swing. Luffy could have let him die in Marineford without anyone noticing. The premise is, how dare he show up at Marineford? Such a big enemy, Luffy doesn't want him to grow up. Don't say anything to add challenges to yourself and so on. This is purely for nothing. Wouldn't it be better to strangle, of money, in the cradle? Blackbeard. A flash of light flashed in Luffy's sharp eyes. Now, Marineford. Sengoku watched the warships in front of him carrying sailors from all over the world arriving at naval headquarters. Xiaohei, how many Marines have gathered so far? Sengoku asked. Roughly estimated, there are already 100,000, and the remaining 50,000 are on their way. Staff Crane answered from Sengoku's side. Match the 4 Emperors with 150,000 elites. This is enough to see how much Sengoku attaches importance to Whitebeard. There are only 1,600 people on the Moby Dick, plus the number of 43 affiliated pirate groups. The Whitebeard group only has 15,000 people. This is a gap of 10 times. 150,000 elite Marine. Whitebeard, don't let me down. Sengoku looked at the sea in front of him indifferently. Whitebeard had to be buried here in Marineford. His time is over. Also, time to get the Vice Admirals on standby everywhere. Sengoku exhorted. Leave this matter to me. Staff Officer Crane withdrew. These Vice Admirals have only one mission. That's bringing Shichibukai back to Marineford. Hawkeye's Castle. The Royal Palace of Dressrosa. The periphery of Nine Snake Island. The ruins of the sunken thriller bark and more. Marine warships have arrived here one after another. Mahawk. The Marshal invites you to Marineford. Pirate Empress, please go to the headquarters. Doflamingo. Straight, Gecko Moria. Shichibukai were taken to naval headquarters by these Vice Admirals. Marine has been preparing for a long time, a big fight. Coming soon. 064, Marine declares war and starts summit war. Shichibukai arrived, and all the troops and supplies were completed. The entire Marine is united and ready to go. The strongest state has come to their side. This day, Marine finally announced to the whole world that at noon 3 days later, he will behead Ace, the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates, in a live broadcast in front of everyone in the world. And, Marshall himself reveals Ace's hidden identity. He is the successor of the previous One Piece King Gold D. Roger, one of the few people in this world who has a sinful blood. Ace is Roger's son, Marine. Absolute justice has always been given priority. After revealing Ace's identity by name, which means they will never allow Ace to leave naval headquarters alive. Decapitation of Ace is imminent. The moment the news spread. A worldwide sensation, countless people were astonished. Whether it's the first half of the Grand Line or the second half of the Grand Line, even people from all over the world were shocked by Marine's handwriting. Who is Ace? Let alone whether he is Roger's orphan. Now he is the second captain of the Whitebeard pirates. Among the White group, have a very high status, and it goes without saying how protective Whitebeard is. My sons are always missing a hair, he will find a place for his son. Not to mention that Marine will be executed in Marineford, beheading his son Ace. How does that make Whitebeard stand? Countless people saw the moment of this news. They all gasped. They know. Marine is declaring war on the Whitebeard pirates. They want to deal with the four emperors. End the era of Whitebeard once and for all. But, when Ace's specific identity is communicated, most people were still a little surprised. I thought the sinful bloodline had been cut off. Marine was trying to capture Roger's orphan. It can be said to have spent a lot of money. But the appearance of Ace made many people startled. How did he escape the Marine? The pirates frowned when they learned that Marine wanted to declare war on the Whitebeard pirates. Marine wants to stand up to the Whitebeard pirates. Since Roger started the era of great voyages, the momentum of the pirates is getting bigger and bigger, and a large number of pirates have landed on the Grand Line one after another from the first half. As the absolute overlord of the sea, Marine already faintly showed signs of being unable to suppress it. And because of this, requires decapitation of Whitebeard to make a stand. Make all pirates stand out. The majesty of the Marine is inviolable. And countless people on the sea fully support Marine's behavior. They were not uncommonly invaded by Marines. The family is broken and the family is dead, and the wife and children are separated. The reason for this situation is precisely because of the actions of those unforgivable pirates. People who hate pirates first hope that Marine can work hard to deal with all the pirates in this world. New World. The Whitebeard pirates. Crunch. Whitebeard punched the air. There was a strong tremor from the fist with white light. The top is like a broken mirror, making crackling sounds. Whitebeard glared. Stare closely at the newspaper in your hand. Teach. Whitebeard was furious, and shock fruit bombed the four fields. Because of a dark fruit, Blackbeard beheaded the fourth Captain Thatch and then fled. Ace went to catch up in person, but unexpectedly fell into an ambush by Blackbeard, gave Ace to Marine as a tribute, and exchanged the title of Shichibukai. Now, Marine uses Ace as a threat to declare war on their Whitebeard pirates. Say it bluntly, the reason behind all this, it is because of this fuse of Blackbeard. This is what led to the current situation, just ask. How could Whitebeard not be angry? The brazen bitch. Below Whitebeard, the captain of the first team, Marco, was also furious. I really want to skin Teach, ungrateful bastard. Joes was also furious. Damn it, it's a shame to be on the same ship as him. Beasta gritted his teeth and shouted, cough cough cough. Because of being too angry, Whitebeard held his chest and coughed violently. The body on the drip kept shaking. Father, are you okay? Seeing that Whitebeard's body was in trouble at the moment, the team captains headed by Marco hurriedly asked with concern. I'm fine, Dad. I was blind back then, and actually let this guy Blackbeard board the ship. I said why didn't he inherit Odin and take the position of captain of the second team? The feelings are in front of him. Aye. The position of captain of the second team can no longer accommodate his ambitions. Whitebeard clenched his fists, wishing he could strangle Teach to death. Father, don't be hurt by this traitor, many captains dissuaded. All right. Whitebeard raised his hand. Don't worry about the length of this Teach. Marine has already used Ace as a threat to declare war on us. Sengoku has one purpose. He wants to compete with our Whitebeard pirates. We should take countermeasures immediately, what do you think? Father, Ace must not be caught by Marine for nothing like this. He is the captain of the second division of our Whitebeard pirates, and he is our brother. Sixth Captain Bramming said. Yes, Ace is an inseparable crew member of our Whitebeard pirates. We must not let him stay alone in Marineford, and bring Ace out no matter what. Seventh Captain Lakio followed closely behind. That's right, Ace is ours. Marine is doing this. They are risking their lives. Let this group of Marines who don't know the heights of the sky and the earth have a good taste of my mace. The 10th Captain, Courier, waved his mace and said. This group of Marines think too highly of themselves. In recent years, they have been eyeing our Whitebeard pirates. It's time to teach them a lesson. In the middle position, Yizang stood among them, and he said sharply. Jay, fight them. Marine wanted to kill us, and Shichibukai came to join in the fun, so they fought until Marine was completely convinced. When have the many captains been so angry? Marine actually threatened their compatriots. Isn't this running wild on the heads of their Whitebeard pirates? Originally joined the Whitebeard pirates. At the beginning, it was only because of Whitebeard's deterrence. But over time, they were also moved by Whitebeard's sincere character. Totally willing to join the family, no complaints or regrets. Now that this brother is in trouble, how can they stand by and watch? Not for other, just for one breath, just for that dignity. Seeing the indignation of his sons, Whitebeard also nodded in relief. He had already made his decision. Ace, he must not be left alone in Marineford. That being the case, then let's fight. Didn't Marine just want to fight Whitebeard with them? Just right. Their wishes were fulfilled. Whitebeard waved his hand. Him at this time. There is no longer the sick state before. Reach out. Remove all infusion tubes from your body. Since the war is about to start, won't people laugh at wearing this medical equipment eyebrow? Take them all off. Assemble 43 affiliated pirate groups, prepare for one night tonight, and set off immediately tomorrow. Whitebeard was majestic and dignified, and a terrifying aura resurfaced on him. Many captains looked sideways. The eyes that looked at Whitebeard began to become admiration. The strongest man in the world who made countless people in the sea stand on the top of the mountain in fear, he is here again. Marine. Are you ready? Meet the king of the sea, the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard. Talking about Luffy, today's newspaper comes out. Luffy is following the content on this immediately. Summit War. Is it finally coming? Luffy has been practicing hard for 10.5 days in order to prepare for the Summit War. Although the strength has greatly increased, but Luffy obviously felt that it was not enough. If you face Garp again, still have more than enough heart but not enough energy. The time is too rushed. What Luffy needs now is exactly the time. But time is ticking. The Summit War has already started, it's too late to let Luffy practice again. Ace? Isn't this Luffy your brother? Nami looked at the news in his hand, then asked Luffy. Then, while in the desert country of Alabasta, Ace once came to Luffy's boat. The two brothers met. Nami, Usopp, Zoro, and the rest of the crew who followed Luffy earlier got a glimpse of Ace. At that time, everyone was still emotional. Ace's strength is actually so strong. Unexpectedly, when we meet again, it was such a grim scene. Ace. He was about to be punished. Ace. I remember, we met him in the desert country. Usopp remembered too. He was sent to the execution platform by Marine. Is this going to target Ace? Zoro frowned into a Sichuan character. But I didn't expect. Luffy, your brother is actually the Pirate King Roger. Luffy, are you the son of the Pirate King? Sanji turned his head and asked hastily. Stupid, Ace said before that he and Luffy are sworn brothers, and Garp is Luffy's grandfather. Okay. Nami's speechless answer. Luffy, are we going to naval headquarters to rescue Ace? Chopper looked at Luffy worriedly and said, everyone speaks to me. When discussing, Luffy said, do you all know the identity of Ace? His words, let everyone at the scene have a meal. To be honest, everyone only knows that Ace is Luffy's brother and the orphan of Roger, the One Piece announced by Marine. He is now the captain of the second team of the Whitebeard Pirates, Whitebeard's character of protecting the calf. I think you also understand a little bit. I know you are very anxious. In fact, there are people who are more anxious than you. Luffy explained to everyone. You mean, Marine wants to declare war against the Whitebeard Pirates, forcing them to go to Marineford, and a decisive battle in Marineford will break out from now on. Robin understood Luffy's words immediately. That's right. Luffy nodded. Robin was more knowledgeable and knowledgeable. Said so by Robin. Everyone else came to their senses too. Then what do we do? Ace is definitely going to rescue him. Don't say anything else. As far as the relationship between Ace and Luffy is concerned, it is imperative to rescue Ace and the others. The specific method, I have already thought about it. Luffy took out a map from the warehouse, and then listed the map in front of everyone. I saw his fingers slip down to Marineford. Here, Marine will have an earth-shattering battle with the Whitebeard pirate group. With Whitebeard's confrontation and attracting firepower, Marine will definitely send all its forces too. Gather at the headquarters, so that we can wipe out the Whitebeard pirates in one go. But because of this, other places are empty, during the conversation. Luffy pointed to one place again. Look here, where his fingers landed. It is a very important level institution of Marine. This is Impel Down. Robin took a closer look and recognized the place. Our target is the prisoners held in Impel Down. Let me put it this way, the prisoners' hatred of Marine is not a matter of a day or two. In order to destroy the Whitebeard pirate group, Marine will definitely gather a majestic force. Maybe there are 100,000 troops. Maybe there are 150,000 troops. In short, it will not be less than this number. It's useless for his people to go, but if these prisoners are added, the meaning will be very different. Luffy said firmly. Using prisoners to help us share our forces? This is also a wise choice. With a smile, he agreed with Luffy's idea very much. Luffy, the Marine declared war newspaper has just been posted on Thousand Sunny. You just glanced at the newspaper. How did you come up with a countermeasure so quickly? Usopp is taken aback by the way Luffy is thinking now. Luffy was taken aback when he heard this. Then he came back to his senses. Correct. The news of Marine declaring war has just come in. It seems that Jay is a bit fast. Luffy is really not good at answering. After all, he couldn't say that he was thinking about how to participate in this summit war 10 days and a half months ago. It's amazing. Robin and Nami also sighed, behind the two of them. Perona has also recently been active on Thousand Sunny. She and Robin Nami's two daughters get along well, at least they have something to talk about. Now everyone is in a meeting. Her little head is also coming together. Perona rarely spoke. But, do you think these prisoners will help you deal with Marine? Luffy looked at Perona and said, why not? An enemy's enemy is a friend. Besides, with a little grace and kindness, how dare they not help? Is the enemy of an enemy a friend? Everyone pondered this sentence. Suddenly, I found out that this seems to be a great truth. After everyone's discussion, Ace must go to the rescue. But it will not be hasty. Their first target of action is Impel Down, the big undersea prison that is said to be unbreakable for more than 20 years. Everyone prepare for the night, we will head to Impel Down tomorrow morning. Luffy signaled everyone to rest well tonight, the meeting is over. Everyone left one after another. Luffy also came to his room. For the past half month, I have been practicing hard. Luffy also got 2 S-tier draws while beating Garp. Now, time to take advantage of these 2 sweepstakes chances. 065 Join the war, Whitebeard Airborne Marineford. In the room. Dear host, you have 2 chances to draw an S-level lottery, do you want to draw? The system sends an inquiry voice. Extract, Luffy said. Ding, congratulations host, your strength and speed have been raised to max. The first reward falls on Luffy. Strength and speed instantly increased to the peak. Luffy just felt a force pouring into his body. Let his whole body be sublimated. Strength and speed. Looking at these 2 abilities, Luffy was overjoyed. What he lacks now is the improvement in strength. This is the top strength and speed, and it has a terrifying improvement for Luffy's gain. If only Luffy had acquired these 2 abilities before meeting Garp. He wouldn't have to spend 3 lives to deal with him at all. Dear host, you still have a chance to draw an S-level lottery, do you want to draw? The sound came from the system again. Extract. Now it's time for a second chance. Ding, congratulations host, your 1000 Sunny has gained the ability to dive and fly. Why? When seeing the rewards drawn for the second time, Luffy was a little confused. He always thought, these S-level lottery draws are an increase for oneself. How come now, it actually felt 1000 Sunny? Dive into the sea. Let the hull have the ability to dive into the ocean, and ignore any attacks from Sea Kings. Flying. Let the hull have the ability to fly, and the defense power will be increased by 100 times. After Luffy sees the ability of diving and flying clearly, he took a surprised breath. Needless to say, diving into the sea is similar to coating a boat with a film so that you can freely shuttle in the depths of the sea. But coatings come with serious risks, once you encounter the attack of Sea Kings. Under the terrifying pressure effect of the deep sea. Once the coating is broken, the seawater on the side will tear the ship and crew to pieces. There is no doubt that he must die. This ability to dive into the sea is a very safe guarantee for 1000 Sunny when diving. As for flying, when Luffy saw this ability, he was really impressed. This is similar to Lion Fruit's ability, after all. As a captain, who doesn't want his ship to take to the sky one day? Not only that, the defense power has also increased by 100 times. This is equivalent to putting on a layer of sacred armor. Let alone a pirate ship, even the fire coverage of warships. I'm afraid it can't break 1000 Sunny's armor. Although it is still not as good as God's Void Sight, Million Immortal Beans or something. But this lottery is inherently random. Obtain these abilities. Luffy has had enough, nothing to say all night. The next day, Luffy called all the crew. The assembly is complete, the target Impel Down. Known as the largest undersea prison that no one can break through in history. 3 days. Fleeting. Marineford at this time. A murderous atmosphere enveloped the entire island. 150,000 Marines are neatly arranged in this Marineford square. They stood upright one by one, well organized, uniformly dressed as soldiers, with their heads held high, their eyes calm, full of unprecedented cohesion. This is the elite Marine from all over the world. And on the outskirts of the square where Marlin Fan passed. 80 warships are guarding here. In addition to the 80 warships, there are 200 warships constantly patrolling outside the Gate of Justice. Once you encounter the Whitebeard pirates, report them as soon as possible. Today, it is the day to execute the evil bloodline ace, and it is also the day to completely annihilate the Whitebeard pirates in this world. Marshal's office. Sengoku sits on top of the main seat. He tapped the table with one hand. Below him, Akainu, Kizaru, Aokiji, Garp, Suru and hundreds of Marine high-level all gathered here. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. Sengoku stood up from his chair, his robes snapping with him. Action. With an order from Sengoku, all Marine executives immediately exited the office. Each performs his duties. A raging fire is burning in Marineford. Bang. In the middle of the square in Marineford, there is a huge gate. At this moment, the gate of Marine Base opened abruptly. I was surprised to see a total of 16 giants, Vice Admiral, coming out of the gate. The giant Vice Admirals have huge backs, some are carrying tomahawks, some are dragging maces, with huge bodies. The moment they step on the ground roars and shakes. They are full of hostility, shocking to hear. One can tell that they are strong men who crawled out of the corpse mountain and sea of corpses. 16 giants Vice Admiral came to the forefront of 150,000 soldiers. They are the #1 opponent against Whitebeard. After the giant Vice Admiral, another group of people came out from the door. It's 7 warlords of the sea. After many soldiers saw this group of people, their pupils constricted for a while, and their hearts were full of dreadful prestige. It was 7 warlords of the sea who came out this time. Take a look at the past. Doflamingo, dressed in a flamingo costume, wearing a pair of sunglasses, with a smile on his mouth, walks with a step that he doesn't recognize. With a huge body and a Gia smile, he lost to Luffy's Gecko Moria at the Thriller Bark. Cold and taciturn, Bartholomew Kuma always has a book between him. Dressed in black, wearing a western cowboy hat, and carrying a black knife behind his back, Mihawk is also known as the world's #1 swordsman. There is also the pirate queen Boa Hancock who fascinates thousands of men and has the most beautiful appearance in the world. Chichibukai. It is marine used to check and balance the existence of 4 emperors. I don't know if there is any checks and balances. But most of their strengths were not inferior to the admiral level at their peak. Even Gecko Moria, who lost to Luffy, was a ruthless character who competed with Kaido for Wanakuna's territory when he was young. Just like what the Empress said 2 years later, the reason why they can be called Shichibukai is simply because they are too strong. The Shichibukai didn't go to the position of the giant vice admiral, they chose the high platform of the second step. Stand right here, just overlooking the entire Marineford. Behind Shichibukai, there are 50 or 60 marine vice admirals from all over the world. Their strength, existence second only to admiral level. Looking at the 16 giant vice admirals, looking at the many Shichibukai in front of him, as well as the vice admirals who are second only to admiral's level, and his own 150,000 elite soldiers. The soldiers are magnificent, their confidence is greatly increased, and their morale is soaring. High morale and full of confidence in this war, just when everyone's morale was high. Marine's last hole card. The top 3 admirals are selected from 1,000,000 people. Step out from that door step by step. Look at these 3 people. The marine soldiers began to breathe rapidly. The ups and downs are unstoppable. #T. Kizaru. The 3 came directly below the execution platform. There are 3 chairs in total, and the 3 people are sitting on the corresponding chairs. Akainu sits at the C position, and Kizaru and Aokiji sit on either side. The moment they sat down, the 2 raised their legs. Standard admiral sitting position. Certainly, only Aokiji just sat there quietly, looking at the full combat power of the marine in front of him with lazy eyes. The 3 look different. The only thing in common is that they are all waiting for Whitebeard to come. It was 10 o'clock. Execution ace from noon. Only 2 hours left. 2 hours. Say it fast or not too slow, B. When will their archenemy, the Whitebeard pirates, arrive? At this point, no one knows, after Admiral sat down firmly. Finally it's the Marine's turn. Sengoku walks from backstage all the way to directly above the execution platform. His here is currently the highest point in the entire Marineford. At the same time, next to Sengoku is the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates' second squad, Roger's orphan, Ace with the blood of evil. The current Ace is very embarrassed. He was covered in wounds, disheveled hair, bloodshot eyes, and dried blood at the corners of his mouth. Kneeling on the scaffold, both hands were wearing seastone handcuffs, and the other end of the seastone handcuffs was nailed to the ground. Ace can't move. He didn't have the appearance of the captain of the 2nd Division at all.
Ace regrets it very much. If it wasn't for my own will, if it wasn't for my own army to go deep, if it wasn't for my own risk.
I'm afraid there will be no such scene as it is now. 150,000 Marines, plus so many Marines, Marshal Sengoku, 3 admirals, Shichibukai. It is not an exaggeration to describe the current Marineford with 4 words, Longton and Tiger's Den. Even their Whitebeard pirates are strong, but in the face of such a situation of Longton Tiger's Den, inevitably, there is more than enough food and not enough energy. Marine. This time, they are determined to destroy the Whitebeard pirates. Thinking of the current situation of the Whitebeard pirates, and thinking of Whitebeard's now seriously ill body. Ace knows. It's all because of myself. In today's battle, the Whitebeard pirates will be ruined because of themselves. Dad, don't ask for it. Biting his lower lip, Ace prayed. He would rather die himself than involve his father Whitebeard. Think of the Whitebeard pirates that are about to be destroyed. Ace couldn't stop crying anymore. Tick-tock fell to the ground. A deep look of despair appeared on the gray face of Ace.
Do you regret it? Sengoku, who was standing on the side, spoke a rare word. If you had listened to your grandfather's persuasion back then, wouldn't you have the result you have today?
Ace was silent. From the beginning to the end, they were all crying with their heads down. Directly below the execution platform, after Garp heard Sengoku's words.
His fists clenched tightly. On one side is his beloved grandson, and on the other side is Marine who needs him to carry the banner.
Tangled. Contradiction. It all converges on Garp. 0. Seeking flowers. Let him feel like sitting on pins and needles, his size has been messed up. Well, staff officer he, who was standing next to Garp, didn't know his current state of mind. As an old friend for many years, staff officer he said gently, Garp, don't think too much, and control your own emotions. The whole Marineford is looking at the sea with burning eyes. quietly waiting for the arrival of the Whitebeard pirates. Pity. God is not beautiful. At this moment, the endless sea in front of him actually started to fog up. Thick fog filled the air, obscuring vision, hanging around Marineford. It is difficult even for a telescope to see through the fog and observe the distant coast. Suddenly, there was a sound of a horn over the sea, and then in the quiet foggy depths, a black shadow appeared above the sea. The moment the shadow appeared, a few more dark shadows appeared around, more and more dense. The moment I saw the shadow, a large number of people squinted their eyes, and the scouts raised their binoculars and stared into the depths of the haze in the distance. Pity. The smog is too dense. The binoculars are also not very clear. Until the other was almost approaching the coast of their Marineford. Scout Liang Mang shouted hastily, "No, that's a member of the Whitebeard pirates. Affiliated with pirates, there are a total of 43 fleets. These captains on the fleet were all powerful characters who followed Whitebeard to conquer the world. Each of them is a powerful person. 43 fleets, adding up to about 13,000 people. Grr. Grr. At the time when a large number of people were focusing on the 3 affiliated pirates at 4 o'clock. The bay in front of Marineford, suddenly it started bubbling. Coming. See this bubble that pops up suddenly. Everyone frowned. For a moment. Swish swish swish. 16 giants Vice Admiral, 50 or 60 Vice Admiral, Shichibukai, 3 Admiral, Garp, Crane Staff Officer, Marshal Sengoku all looked towards the bubbling place.
Next moment, in front of the bay, the hull of the huge blue whale emerged from the sea indistinctly.
Like a carp jumping over the Dragon Gate, rushing to the sky, splashing out boundless water. This ship is none other than the Moby Dick. The blue appearance, the streamline of the whale, who else is there if it is not the ship of the Whitebeard pirates? After the mothership appeared, then 3 more subships emerged. 1 mother and 3 sons, a total of 4 Moby Dicks. Aligned in 4 directions respectively, standing in front of the bay of Marineford.
Boom. The moment the Moby Dick surfaced, the membrane of its body was also broken. Except for Sachi and Ace. All the captains of the White Pirates stood directly in front of the Moby Dick mothership.
Each of them has an unruly look on their faces, fearless even against the marine soldiers that fill Marineford. Just at this moment, tap tat tat, there was a sound of firm and powerful footsteps. Roaring on the Moby Dick, resounding across the bay.
Tap tat, tat tat tat, tap tat, the sound of footsteps walking forward step by step, with the sound of metal weapons hitting the ground.
Most of the Marines swallowed their saliva, they all knew who the footsteps came from. But this strong momentum, before it appeared, it made people feel chilled and shocked. This. How to fight this? Is this the aura of the so-called strongest man in the world? The Marine soldiers who were originally confident. His face was a little tense, like a dam collapsed, the flood flooded thousands of miles. There is no fighting intention in my heart, at last. The head of the New World 4 Emperors, the strongest man in the world, the user of shockfruit, with a gray and upside-down crescent moon beard, wearing a black turban and holding it in his hand. The days when the sharp knife never cut. Appeared on the Moby Dick and walked out. Whitebeard slammed Kong Yunki to the ground heavily. The hearts of everyone in Marineford jumped. Gu la 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 la. You gang of clowns are really brave. You dare to move my son. Are you impatient? Ace, don't cry. Dad is here to save you. Sharp, Haki, turned a blind eye, and regarded the heroes of the world as a dead man. All the momentum is concentrated on Whitebeard, just one sentence. The group of Marines in front of Jen didn't dare to fart, standing in place tremblingly. In their current state, let alone fighting, whether they can stand or not is another matter. Even some Vice Admirals looked at the scene in front of them, they were all silent. Not daring to take his eyes off Whitebeard. They are really worried. If you look at it a few more times, I'm afraid you won't even have the will to fight. Deficit.